We should be live. What is going on internet? If we are indeed live, please let me know if you guys are having any connection issues. YouTube is, for some odd reason, doing their best to get in our way today. I'm going to have to fix our little...
In more ways than one.
Yes, in more ways than one. So,
blocking my damn SWAT episode. Bro, I worked for like 3 weeks on that thing.
Yeah, we had to delay the SWAT episode for whatever reason. I think that there's probably a copyright argument there somewhere. But
They have a very bad one. Yeah. I have a really good one. But that doesn't really matter.
I have fixed our faces, or you should see our faces are fixed. Let us know if anybody has any audio issues or if there's a latency issue. Just yell in the chat and we will be able to fix it. For some odd reason, it was giving one not an excellent connection, but then me a connection, and then OBS wouldn't go live. Anyways, welcome to OnlyCops. We are Billis today because Billis is preparing his Batcave to do Batcave versions of the stream. So once he's got that stuff set up, he may or may not pop in here for funsies, but you guys can go say hi to them. I do want to do my proverbial... Chris Kaufman got first place. Sticks said, how's it going? He's second.
She's going good.
And Buford T. Justice got third. Shout out to you, boy. I watched, what was it? Oh, now I can't remember the name of this movie. I watched a movie about early America. It was a classic with... it came out like the 40s. It was pretty good, but it made me think of that Southern culture, that like very traditional Southern culture, and it cracked me up. Brian Miner is here. Mr. Toastar. Was Mr. always there?
Yes, he's always been Mr. Toastar.
Huh. Well, shout out to him. Sailor George is indeed here. Christy C.
He's the star of our toes.
Kai is here. Mom is also here. Christy C. said Patty Woo, who has... oh, it's Bradford. I was like, who is that again? Bradford as his emoji. I had a brain fart there for a second. Pouty Am or AM, one of the two. He's the morning Pouty. It is good to see you. Jacob did indeed pop by the chat. Maybe we have baby Jacob watching this as well. Hopefully she doesn't remember anything being said.
Jacoba.
Spoiler guy 2.0. Snark is here. It is good to see all these YouTube members. It's making me happy to see everybody here. Ellie, I've never been to a live stream due to school and work. What time does it start? Right now. If you're just us. Is this some animated show? And I want to know what it is. Whatever her little profile picture is. This is a meme somewhere.
Bro, so as soon as you took over, like all of my stuff started working again.
Of course it did.
Mine over here. Freaking stupid. So mad.
See. This is them making fun of us not being live. Oh, Pam is here. What is going on, Pam?
Hey, Pam.
Anyways, that is for everybody. Go ahead and drop a like. Today is our Tuesday stream, and on Tuesday streams we do please.
Oh, your sound is low, Josh.
Oh, mine's low.
Which actually it is on my end too. I just because I'm in my ears, it doesn't. But yeah, it was really low last stream too.
That's pretty turned up for me there. I'm like getting on the edge of having.
Try doing it through OBS actually instead. You might just have your balance on OBS down.
Let me look and see.
Because if you look on OBS, you should just have yours hitting the yellow, and you should be good when you talk.
Oh, I have a threshold limiter.
Oh.
That might be why.
You're self-blocking.
Let me just trash it. Yes. Okay. Close. There is no limiter. I have no limit.
No limit.
And I'm pretty much maxed out. Tell me if that is better.
Yes.
Oh, is it better on the stream?
Yes, sir.
You guys can hear me loud and clear, hopefully. Chris, thank you for the... we had Pirate Josh for a second. What? It's Bibble from Barbie. Bibble? Am I saying that right? Or is it Biddle? Barbie? Like the Barbie movie or like Barbie the... I don't know. I don't know anything about
it is so much better on stream.
Mom, tell me if that's better. Anyways, for those of you that don't know, we are now at 13,500 subscribers. We're slowly growing. I have some really cool training I'll get to take in the next couple
He
months.
has the same microphone I do, and that's the thing.
Literally.
It just somehow doesn't work. It's the same one that me and Bill use.
It's the same one. I don't.
I upgraded us all to the Joe Rogan mics, and somehow he's still low. And honestly, it might just be maybe I'm too high. Is your OBS, is your desktop audio like you're peaking on that?
Yeah, you're peaking on desktop audio. Let me turn that.
Yeah,
down.
maybe just turn me down, and that way they can just turn up their volume.
Is that better?
And then we'll match, because I think I'm just much louder than you.
How about that? I don't have like a limiter for that. Or maybe I do.
Hold the microphone closer, because I'm also eating my microphone, and you're like.
This is as close as I can get without it being like. You gave me kind of a short stand. I'll turn it up at myself. Maybe that helps. Tell me if that helps.
Maybe it's better for camera.
Use your outside voice. See, Kinsey gets mad when I use my outside voice here. Try Keith. Keith, give us some audio.
Keith was hella loud.
Yeah,
on stream.
you guys sound great to me. So
stream.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Says I'm just a little louder now. Here, I'm gonna listen to us on the stream for a second.
So Brian says Josh sounds good to me, and he's using earbuds. I'm romantically in his ears. They're all out of donuts for DoorDash. That is a sad day at the office. I liked it better when I couldn't hear you.
Okay, we sound good now. We sound even.
We're close. We're at least close.
Yep.
We're close enough. I'll talk less loud, you talk more loud, and we should balance out.
Anyways, for the uninitiated...
I'll whisper for y'all.
See, Nintendo said I'm the loudest.
today.
Stop.
Welcome to
I will mute you. For those of you guys that want to join the conversation a little bit more, we do have a Discord. That Discord is Stop It.
Are you muting me?
Right now. There it is. There it is. He's muted for a second. Anyways, we do have a Discord. The Discord is going to be... He can unmute himself. He's capable of unmuting himself. Yeah. I got him! I timed it.
We did it at the same time.
I timed it. I was like, the blank showed me that old trick. He's like, you wait. And I was like, I feel like he's going to do it now. And you do it at the same time. Anyways, if you guys would like to join our Discord, we do have a way of joining. That is either through our Patreon group or our YouTube membership program. For as little as $1 a month, it does give you access to said Discord. There's slightly different perks. I know that Patreon has its own... Stop. I saw that poll. Either the YouTube has its own little thing here where it gives, depending on your membership level and whatnot, it either auto gives you some of this merch after a certain amount of time, or you can just get it. You can get it. Oh,
YouTube does not. That's why YouTube does not have those tiers available.
Oh,
so in the higher tiers of Patreon, you get free merch. The existing tiers of Patreon and YouTube at this level just give you the normal stuff. But
favorite one's this new one.
All the cool merch. I love that one.
The PTSD one.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty tasty sprinkled donuts is pretty.
Yeah,
this is pretty goated. This is pretty goated. I need this. I drink enough coffee. I like that it comes in a 15-ounce too.
I'm drinking out of my Protect and Shroom cup.
Yeah, Protect and Shroom. You to chill.
And then I got Chenford here, and I got OnlyCops here.
So anyways, we got some cool stuff. If you guys are interested in it, go ahead and let us know. Like I said, today is our Tuesday stream. It's considered to be the last formal. I'll do my best to make it educational for you guys. I am reading the chat. If you guys have, I guess, law enforcement related questions. This is from my vigilante group. Thank you to them for helping gather all this stuff. What is this?
How are you? I got a present for you. We're gonna need some of the booty juice. Yes, he is under arrest, yeah. Okay, this gentleman fell on a zucchini this morning. 19 male, didn't see the other 0 on the edible packaging. All vitals stable, but is convinced he isn't real. Nancy, you're looking lovely as always. Is Resus open for us? Who's better than you? Hey, look who I got here for.
He said the booty juice. I can't. For those that need to know, that is what you
Tell
use
the vanilla story, Josh.
to knock people out with a sedative. They typically do that for highly combative people. We have time for story time. So there is. I was a young aspirant of a police officer. I was probably like 5 or 6 months off PTO or FTO for the people that are part of that program. So I'm still on probation as a baby little police officer, and me and one of my classmates get dispatched to a call of a barricaded person. Not like a barricaded person like he's got a hostage. It's just he's locked himself in a bathroom. So this really young chick, she's like 20, she has her significant other locked in a bathroom, and he hasn't answered for like 20, 30 minutes, right? So she's kind of freaked out, and I'm like, it's an interior door. Just kind of push the thing open. But she's nervous, so they call first responders, right? So we get there, try to talk to him through the door. I can hear that he's there, but he sounds like very like inebriated or he's on something. There's also a very small chance that he has harmed himself. So we do the thing. Hey, go ahead and back away from the door. We're going to go ahead and kick it. I had the exigency because I believe he might be a danger to himself. So we boot the door, and lo and behold, there's this young man, like a white kid named Kyle. It's like 110 pounds, right? So he's laying on this little tiny like apartment floor, right, in a bathroom, and hammered. And so I thought to myself, well, he's either in talks with something, because I don't see any alcohol, nor Four Locos, no, none of that. So I immediately start looking for paraphernalia. This is spoons, lighters, syringes, things to tie your arm off of, any of those kind of things. Don't find meth, don't find weed, don't find anything. It doesn't smell like smoke, nothing, right? Which is weird, because this guy's very intoxicated with something. So EMS is starting to work on him, and he kind of gets pulled out of the thing, and I'm really confused as to why this guy's in the state. We ask, it's always Kyle stuff. I'm guessing, I don't remember the kid's name. And so I happened to look into the trash can. It's the easiest place to find paraphernalia, and fortunately for me, I had gloves on, and it was tiny. It was maybe like this big, bottle of vanilla extract. And I was like, that's kind of weird. And so I picked the thing up, and I thought, well, I mean, I guess if he drank it a long time ago, maybe I know it's something that you can get intoxicated from. Don't get ideas, kids. But at the rim of this thing, it had like a bunch of brown stuff on it. And I was like, I gave it a sniff. I did indeed give it a sniff.
Give it a tiny lick.
And sure enough, just kind of smelled like booty, right? And I was like, well, that's concerning. And so the doctors, the medical staff's asking him, did you take anything? He's like, I didn't take anything. Did you take anything? We need to know. And he's like, pretty messed up. It's like, you had to have taken something. They're nervous. They don't know what kind of medication to give you because they're nervous. There might be, what's it called? Complications. Like you could have a conflict. If you took a downer and they give you a sedative, you could die, kind of thing. Same thing if you took an accelerant and they give you something, what's it called? Side effects. You might have like converging side effects from those medications that can cause medical issues, right? So I confront him straight up. Did you stick this vanilla extract bottle up your butt? And he vehemently denies it. Like he's like, absolutely not. And I was like, look, dog, I'm telling you, if they don't know, they're not going to know how to treat you once you get to the hospital. They need to know. And I show it to the EMT, and the EMT like rolls their eyes super hard. And they're like, he stuck it up his butt, didn't he? And I was like, yeah, for sure. So anyways, fun way apparently to get intoxicated for the kiddos.
Oofing.
It was weird. It was par for the course for the rest of my career. I didn't know that at the time because I was a young little police officer, but I didn't automatically go to vanilla extract suppository. Like that wasn't immediately where my brain went. I went like the easy route, and it's like, oh, he did some
Well,
K2.
and honestly, it'd be weird if you did, because most vanilla extract in the U.S. is non-alcoholic.
Yep.
Like they remove all of it. It's super processed to the point where there's almost no alcohol in it.
And it was like store brand.
It's like 40%.
Yeah.
Liquor.
Yeah. So anyways,
put that up your booty. You're gonna have a bad day.
I bet EMTs have some fun stories from some of that stuff. But anyways, yeah, story time. Don't do that, kids. I'm not advising do that. But that is one way. CHP. Dash cam shows Sheriff Tina apparently getting pulled over
Caught on
for
camera,
speeding.
Monterey County Sheriff Tina Nieto was pulled over by the CHP in King City at least 3 times.
KION's Natalie Gutierrez
Nieto
joins
means
us now.
grandson in
Natalie,
Spanish.
what can you tell us?
Is it really?
He does.
I turn off this and then go to full fidelity.
About this surprising news.
Scott, Lisa, I spoke to Sheriff Nieto, and she says in the third incident, she was not
Oh,
speeding.
she's showing off her accent.
Nieto.
Nieto.
Alright, so I'm not gonna issue a citation. Oof, I almost freaking had the 28 completed before you got here. I'm glad I didn't.
3 different traffic stops, no citations issued. Dashcam video shows at least 3 incidents where Monterey County Sheriff Tina Nieto was pulled over. In the first 2 videos, King City CHP saying she was going over 90 miles per hour. The first one was on September 23rd, 2020.
If this was in Texas, it's about the speed limit, so you're probably not even getting stopped.
So my hot take is I'm okay with this as long as my next 3 stops are also just warnings.
I like how Christy's.
I don't care how fast I'm going.
Christy's outing me for being on Only Robbers.
Every time Bill's not here,
I get real off the rails.
encouraging criminality.
It's weird too because I was a good kid. Like I prior to my experience there, like I didn't even like go out late.
Any of it. Yeah.
I like abided by the speed limit and stuff. Like I don't know what happened.
In your Camaro, really?
Yeah, bro, it's a V6. I could barely violate the speed limit in that. But my Passat though.
Yeah.
That
we also
thing
used
had
to
some...
ride like 4 people in that Camaro. Which
That's
was
true.
dumb.
That's true. That poor thing had like
Yeah,
200
not handle that weight.
280,000 miles
I saw
on
that
it.
cat.
And yeah, I saw it too. I heard it at least. Anyways.
23.
I'll stop you for initially when you pass me, you're at 95, and then you're in and out of traffic still up to about 90. Okay, no worries. We're just gonna obviously give you a warning.
No, not
About
no
6
worries.
months later, on March 7th of this year, the CHP would pull her over again.
The reason I stopped you is for your speed of 95, and then when you pass my partner, you're still at 92. Alright, this is the police code. Did you run the plate? Does not exempt these where you're running code 3. They haven't upgraded my vehicle yet. Alright, so I'm not gonna issue a citation.
Did she lie about going code 3?
No, she said that her vehicle was not updated yet, so she doesn't have her lights, I'm assuming, in her vehicle. Is that what she means?
Then why is she driving it in emergency capacity?
I don't know. I mean, is that a county vehicle?
Even if it was, man, like, yeah, like that's not an excuse. Like, it would be in violation of emergency vehicle operations if you were, because you're allowed to violate traffic law under a very specific set of criteria. That's 1, you're on duty. 2, you're responding to an emergency. And 3, somebody knows about it. Like, like at least someone has to know, oh, somebody's going. We'd even notify. Like, I'd have another agency going, like, pursuing through our city. And I'd just key up real quick. I'd be like, like, 213, and Grand Prairie's going code through our city, eastbound on I-30. Like, get off the radio. Just so everybody knew, like, hey, if you're on a traffic stop on I-30, in the eastbound lane of traffic, like, maybe like a heads up so you don't get slammed by, a fleeing person. Yeah. Jacob laughing about that Camaro. I got it clapped out after he had it, and that poor thing was on its last legs by the time I got it.
This is the second time I stopped you for your speed. I don't know what it's going to take to slow down, but next time
a revocation of her commission.
Give me a little different, okay? Just please slow down. I want to make sure you and everyone else on the road is getting...
No. Double it and give it to the next person.
The third incident happening 2 months later
I'll
in
take
May.
6 ones.
For the speed, okay?
6 ones.
Bro, Keith, you were on it. I was about to drop that link.
I am running radar on the other side. I still need to see your license.
Mom prompted me.
The dollar could be a single grave.
Uruguay soccer players fight Colombia fans in stands after Copa America loss. Hell yeah.
Wait, what?
That was clearly a few years ago because this time it was Colombia versus Argentina, and I'm sure they also fought.
I don't keep track of any of that. I also want to point
on
out.
the bottom.
I want to point out it's 69 degrees at the time of this.
It's too bad it's not 4:20 p.m.
Well, that would be.
That would be top tier.
That was. I mean, like 40 minutes ago. Yes, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
Is she giving crap to the trooper? I mean, I'm looking at the...
Yeah.
At the,
Yeah, I'm going to identify myself to your supervisor.
I didn't catch that.
So
part.
yeah, Nieto is now on the third stop and being like, "Yo,
Yeah.
dog, it's not professional courtesy. It's professional. You better not write me a ticket. Apparently, I do what I want. I'm above the law."
It's professional
A few
oppression at this
moments
point.
later, a super
These also aren't exempt tags, so I'm assuming it's not a county vehicle. Because normally when you have like a city-owned vehicle, like our police chief drove a black Tahoe. There was no lights, no nothing, but it said exempt, and so I kind of like, you'd run it and it belonged to the city, right? And I was like, well, okay, like this is probably legit. At least I know, but you shouldn't be annoyed that I stopped you because you don't have lights and sirens on your car and you're driving fast. Like, take the ticket and be done with it.
supervisor was on scene.
I almost freaking had the 28 completed before you got here. I'm glad I didn't.
We reached out to Sheriff Nieto. She said back in September she was in her personal car. The other two incidents, she was in her company car in uniform. She says that back in May, she was not speeding. As far as the other two incidents, she did not want to disclose why she was speeding.
Yes, I was pulled over by the CHP and he gave me a warning. And, you know, if he had given me a citation, I would accept the citation and use the proper channels to argue my side of it. And if
Fired without pay, or fired on suspension without pay until we can
Prison.
find everything else
Well,
that
I mean,
she's doing.
she's an elected position, though.
Well, what I'm getting at is vote of no
So-
confidence.
They'd have to
go
call
pretty
for
hard.
a revote. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure the county could do something
City
with her.
council could kick her out.
City has no authority over county.
Yeah, it'd
County
have
has
to be the
authority over
county.
city, as a matter of fact.
I was about to say it's the other way around. Technically, yeah. Okay, county is the
Too much
highest
power.
is the highest authority that's not a state. It would have to be like the governor coming in and
we
saying,
got Chris the Chief over here in the chat. Why don't we
I
ask him?
just saw that.
Hey, Chris.
the way he always introduces
would you
himself.
wield your authority around to get out of speeding tickets?
Oh my
You'd be like, I'm a chief.
I like how they stopped on more cops MSR or SMR content. And they put yes at 69%.
69%.
Giggity. I'm ending
End
it.
there. Yeah.
I guess you can't get rid of her, right? Basically, it'd have to be the governor. I just have beef. Like, you're like a very big public figure. Like a very big public figure. And the whole idea is that you're the one typically pushing initiatives to, like, combat crime. Speaking specifically in the deputies / like stadies conversation, like, all of them almost implicitly enforce traffic, specifically traffic on highways. So, like, if anybody was going to be very picky about speed, it should be the sheriff's office and state. Like, I maybe stopped for speed twice in my entire career.
Oh, a recall.
Yeah.
Recall would work.
Yeah, recall. I'm sure the county commissioners would have some
sort of
sway
mechanism.
over, you know, because I mean they control the purse strings, they control the funding.
Yeah.
You know which department has allocated how much money. So I don't know if they
Put
could
pressure
do
to
something
cause
like that. You know?
resignation,
Yeah.
basically.
And my beef isn't like she's different. I just read the chat.
Oh, you're bad. You're wrong for that. Deserved.
I respect it. I don't have beef with the offense. I don't care if she got 3 citations in a row for speeding. I wouldn't have cared about that. I care that she went out of her way to try to get out of them. That's my beef. If you took it and then issued an apology, hey, I shouldn't be speeding, whatever, I have no beef with that because at least you're okay with the accountability. Pay the ticket, apologize for it, and your voters probably vote you back in. But you're not going to sit there and say, like, you shouldn't be stopping me and I'm in uniform and whatever that be. Because she would likely discipline a deputy for doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's my beef for it.
Or potentially she's fomenting a culture in her department of officers that are willing to let each other get away with stuff and expect that.
And it starts
other
with
officers.
speeding,
Mm-hmm.
and it always escalates from there. I have not been stopped since I became a police officer and afterwards because I don't break law. I'm like a subject matter expert in traffic laws. It's so I just don't violate any of them. Like, it's not hard. The best drivers I ever met were drug dealers. Best drivers ever. They were so good at knowing how many times they needed to like use the blinker to make sure that they've indicated enough. Like they would like 10 clicks before they moved over. They didn't block traffic. They drove just fast enough to be in compliance with the speed limit, but not too fast. Their tail lights always worked. Their license plate lights always worked. They never had too dark a tint. Like,
no expired registration.
Dude, they were always on it with some compliant dudes.
Yeah, the dealers were spot on. It was the users that were.
The users were never spot on. That is very true. Or even like dealers, right? Like they were.
When
they
you're double dipping.
Yeah, they would buy from a dealer and try to cut it.
One for you.
Yeah, one of those. Those guys weren't very high speed, low drag.
Yeah,
we'll see.
If I'm pulled over by the CHP, I'm polite. I give them my information.
People I spoke with say.
Are you sure it doesn't start with creme brulee?
I think it's unfair to the public.
We did reach out to the CHP branch in King City. They say they can't talk about the stops right now.
Dumb.
Can't.
This is fun. I had one officer that I worked with that somehow found a way to get an exemption from both getting tased and OC'd. And they were allowed to work patrol. And I had beef. I can't with Chris. He needs to chill. Maybe he has actual beef with this lady. Like, they met through like Chiefs or like whatever. No, she was pulled over by CHP. She was a sheriff.
Oh, okay. Well, it's still California, right?
Yeah, they're close. I'm sure they're close somewhere.
Yeah.
He probably knows something about it.
He probably knows her personally.
There you go, Chris.
He's like
Dan Hammer. But anyways, I genuinely had beef with this guy who was allowed to go through academy and not get tased and not get OC'd. Like, I wouldn't volunteer to do it again. I mean, unless I really needed to or whatever, but because it's a very unpleasant experience. But
for content,
I have beef with guys that want the commission of police officer but do not subject themselves to this. If they don't subject themselves to it, they shouldn't be able to carry the tools. Period. That's pretty good.
Well, it hurts, doesn't it?
She peed.
I like the
for sure peed.
Yeah, I like how the sound just like faded away.
So what happens is your diaphragm can't relax. So there's no re-inhaling while this is going on. So that's why.
What if I'm built different?
So free advice for people that are doing this. So I know why they have you turn away from the taser. But the problem is that a lot of people will think this is an escort position. It's a really terrible escort position. Once the taser's deployed, actually turn and face, maybe not on these tasers, but like in general, in an escort position, or if you have somebody going to the ground, you actually want to like hook under, because their arms can only go so far backwards. It's for the safety of this, it's fine. They tased us without any of this. We did it on a concrete floor. Or no, it was a basketball floor. It's like a wooden floor, but we didn't have a mat. They just tased us.
No mat. Damn.
Taser.
Look at her joy at seeing somebody else experience it.
Yeah. Look at all these people. They have people that show up. This and OC Day, you'll get the people in the training center that like show up.
The audience.
Oh, that's the worst. If it gets you in the glute, it's a bad day. Oh, also free advice: if you're gonna get tased, eat early, poop and pee before you go.
Yes,
it will come out. You will not have a choice in the matter.
That is very good advice. Just go hungry.
Yeah. Pretty good. Our videos are somewhere. Me and Bill's are somewhere.
Probably on that dead cell phone.
I tried to yell on mine and I couldn't. Like my diaphragm wouldn't.
You got
move.
there too late, and then your diaphragm.
Yeah, I was like,
able to do it.
Like literally, just my tongue would stick out as I'm trying to make a noise and nothing would happen.
Does yelling help?
No.
Yeah, like, did they tell you that? No.
I was just trying to. It didn't work.
Just hurting.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, they say 5 seconds. When you're the one on the business end, it doesn't feel like 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Taser.
She actually didn't get a pretty good connection. The fact that she was able to talk that much, like,
it's too small.
It
With smaller frame too.
Well, also like it has to go through muscle tissue, right? Like you conduct through water, your bones don't conduct electricity, right? I'm not saying she's bony. I'm just saying that when you have less tissue, whether it's fat tissue or muscle tissue, it is going to conduct less on you, if that makes any sense. Shout out for her though. It's still probably just as painful. I'm not gonna say it's not painful, but it will affect people less.
Ellie wants to know, from a 1 to 10, 1 meaning feel nothing, 10 being worst pain ever, where does it fall?
7 to 8.
Yeah, I was gonna do like an 8. I was gonna say like 8.5. OC hurts. No, I'd say OC hurts less. It's just continuous. That's the thing. It sucks about it. Bro, OC.
In that tiny population, OC didn't really.
What?
Like
okay.
Wiped it off. I was
I don't want to, bro. This guy's got a passive immunity to OC that makes me mad.
Keith's built different.
OC.
Compare yourself to him. It's not fair.
OC. If you opened
also
up,
tank the taser.
Yes, he tanked the taser. He's like, I don't know what it takes.
He wasn't even required in his day. He just went out and
did it for fun.
I had to get it. I got the taser late in my career, and it sucked.
That did
OC
suck.
didn't really bother me. I could walk into a cloud of it, but taser. No,
if you want the experience of OC but don't want to get OC'd, turn your oven to like 450. Open your oven and get your face as close to the inside of that opening as possible and hold it there for as long as you can take it. Or just stick your hand over a fire for a little bit, or like a burner. And for as long as you can take it, try to hold it there. And then, of course, eventually you're going to flinch, react, and pull away from that. But imagine if you couldn't. Like, that's what OC's like. The worst part for us is they made sure it got in our eyes. It got in our eyes, it got in our nose, and it got in our mouth. They would make sure it happened. And
you can also step into my kitchen when I'm making fajitas. That'll do it for
there
you.
it is. There it is. In the eyes, it kind of felt like if I took, and I've described this a couple of times, if I took a bunch of tiny sticks in mud and just held your eye open and crammed them in there, and just kind of every time you would try to open your eyes, it just like felt that way. It was terrible. Even closed, it hurt, but like your natural inclination, we literally would have to pull our eyes open because the want to shut them is pretty overbearing. It's not great. He's gonna get a bed. He's gonna get a bed.
Yeah. This is...
He did pretty well.
He took it pretty well.
We haven't gotten a screamer yet. There's going to be a really good one here, I'm sure.
Do you imagine just trying to do like office work, like you're in the training center trying to qualify hours? They're just like torturing rookies in the other room.
Yeah.
That's probably who all these people in the background are. They're like, oh, no, we'll do it in here.
I ain't gonna get any work
done. It's gonna be noisy either way.
Yeah. It's not a good feeling. It's just very unpleasant. Like, I wouldn't advise doing this to like explorers. Like, you wait till you've like legally, like, it's just not. It's not nice. Like,
why not?
It's just like, unless
I don't know if they're really gonna like it.
Unless I'm getting paid to do it, like,
get them pre-qualified.
It sign those waivers.
I would almost quicker like, well, no, because at least it's gone. Like, the second the taser turns off, you're fine. But like, it's like worse than a dick punch for those 5 seconds the whole time. Also, did you hear it when it happened to you? So the way we had clips, and like they would stick these little clips on us, and I could literally hear it in my like head. I heard like
you didn't take the prongs.
We didn't take the prongs. I'd have taken the prongs all day. Prongs, it's whatever. They just rip them little bastards out. I would have rather had the prongs. There's a small chance you get like a poor connection on one of those.
No.
Those they like will reposition it again if they don't feel like they got you bad enough. It was sucky. Can we all agree that cops need to stop wearing clothes that show people they're cops? I do. I think if you're off duty, you should try to distance yourself as much as possible from your job unless you're ready and willing to act at an official capacity. And like you really should go off duty. I don't think this like constant on duty is terribly healthy. Because it kind of makes you a bit of a jackass. I don't know that
you know what you could wear instead?
Yeah, so OnlyCops merch.
Our OnlyCops hats or our beautiful admin hats, which you can get if you are in the admin or above tier on our Patreon.
So
I know I have to mail yours out. This is literally Keith sitting on my desk. Keith, this is yours.
My thoughts on the Taser 10.
I'll bring yours away from you.
I know. I'll bring yours to your house.
Let's go get lunch. We'll do Whataburger.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
He's scared. It's gonna hurt him more.
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
Well, you can still move his arms. Didn't get him right. Do it again.
We had, I think, 3 or 4 people get tased again. Because they didn't get it bad enough.
Didn't scream enough.
Taser hard roll. Taser, taser, taser.
I'll tell you what, she took it pretty well, actually.
She did way better than the last guy.
Yeah. It's about the same noise
Half
you'd make.
of those seem performative.
Yeah. Performative.
Make everybody else feel better.
She got all of it. See how her back stayed arched the whole time? She took the full ride. That's a bad day. The Taser 10 gives you 9 more opportunities to not have it be effective. That's my
The idea is that the statistics say 2 out of 10 times. So they give you 10.
Just like prong bukkake the suspects. You just clack, 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 clack.
Go. One of them has to work.
Yeah, no kidding. I think the X2 is what we had. It's just you had little cartridge would go on and you had only one shot and you had to like reload it manually.
Yeah. Had to get your confetti.
Dude, the amount of times people would self-tase because they'd forget to like put their thing back on safe when they were trying to swap cartridges. Self-tasing was a thing. I never did it because I'm not dumb, but...
Yeah, you threw your taser.
You can get the X26, the ones that Bill and I used to carry for cheap now. I think it's like at $90. You just got to get the cartridges.
I've looked at that. I've looked at those.
Here we go.
I'm just curious like what the price is on these.
Boy, they got rid of the mat for him?
Well, I just held him up.
See, they got the clips. This is the way we did it.
Taser.
They're getting the prongs. That's agony.
Yeah.
He got it. He got it pretty. That was either performative or he really got it. Poor guy.
Oh, he ended that with yeah. Maybe he liked it.
Taser.
Your muscles just won't want to let go. They suck.
Yeah, it does suck. 2 out of 10 bad. What sucks is when you're like late. They did ours alphabetically, and I'm pretty far on the back end on the alphabetical side. So you had to go like watch everybody take Taser before you got it. That did kind of suck. Same thing with OC. And I had to do Fight Sim 1, then do OC. That was a bad day at the office. But having to watch it, I would rather be first, get it out of the way, and then get to laugh at everyone else rather than just sit there and watch like the really bad ones happen, and then you get nervous.
Taser.
Bro, like a champ.
Damn, what a stud. He took a nap.
It's going to hurt him.
Here now, what's up?
It's going to hurt him.
Taser.
They couldn't hold him up. That's a big boy.
Taser.
What a lot of people also don't realize that like taser probes or like the laser they give you to aim with, like a generous guesstimation on where those probes are going to land. Like typically they'll land at, she's at like right at 10 feet, maybe less. You're still getting like a 6 to 7 inch spread. You could totally tag one of the people holding the individual, totally tag him with the probe, which wouldn't tase you. Well, no, guys, you're making contact. I guess you probably would be able to like complete the circuit. I wonder.
Well, over 2 people?
Yeah. Because if you like, so if there's a taser probe and it's actively going and you put your hand on the suspect between the 2 probes, you get it. It hurts.
Touch a wire. I think that was the biggest thing.
That's true.
You
Yeah,
just don't want to touch a wire while it's conducting.
Also, free advice: if you try to deploy a taser and all you're hearing is a popping noise, that's basically the arcing of that trying to find a connection. It's not working. So try again or go hands on like you should have done in the first place.
Spartan kick.
Yeah, Spartan kick. That one almost got him in the booty. Oh, that's a suspect.
Yeah,
that's a suspect spot right there.
Mm-hmm. He's got a new tail.
Get him in the belly. Just ate a baby. Like, his pep talk would have pissed me off the whole time. I'm like, shut up.
That's what it feels like.
Dan, you got 30 seconds left, Dan. You're almost there.
Patient Dan.
Do it, taser, do it.
He said, "All right." It does not. I think if you hit the safety, I think it stops it. But they have to give you the cycle. They have to give you the full ride for the cert. He said, "All right." Like it's a safe word.
It's supposed to be banana.
That's funny. The safe word will not save you.
Yep.
My boy's gonna get it.
I heard a no. That was me. Too late. Taser.
Oh, it hit him crooked. Oh, that means it only got one of his glutes. It got your back. I mean, it hurts. Like, I don't know, man. Not recommended. I'd take a little more PTSD than do that again. NYPD cop. Oh, this is kind of long.
I mean, I thought it was mostly
This is
no, not
I skipped it last week. This is they aired from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and today it was just very long, and we're at the end of stream.
Interesting.
This thing,
Yeah.
shorts, the shorts on a police officer, ridiculous.
Shorts.
I would not wear shorts on patrol. Period. I have gone on patrol in a 110-degree day, and I wore pants.
What if you were a bike cop?
I
Don't
wouldn't
have to work.
I wouldn't be a bike cop. That's simple. There you go. Was that hypothetical?
Wasn't Bill a bike cop?
He was certified.
Patrol.
Do what?
During I don't remember if you remember where my first agency was. I told you all about it, but it was coastal county. A lot of spring breakers came down there, and we were on 4-wheelers in shorts, so that wasn't too bad. But that's about the only time I'd wear shorts on duty.
Pants. I'm teasing. If I had to be in the sand, or if I had to get in water like very frequently, I'd maybe do shorts at that point in time, just for the heat.
Wanted to know how professionals have changed over time, so we got 3 different experts from multiple decades to share their experiences.
I worked for the New York City Police Department from 1969 to 1996.
I served in the New York City Police Department for 20 years, from 1986 to 2006.
I served as a member of the New York City Police Department from 2003 to 2023.
Really dodged a bullet there going in 03. As opposed to before. The 70s would have been a wild time.
Oh yeah, this is the Plymouth
Love
Fury,
those cars.
8 cylinders. They were good cars. And then
Death
they
traps,
changed
but
over to
sexy.
blue cars.
But the Grand Fury, I liked it. It wasn't the fastest car in the world, had a V8. What I loved about it was, if you look at the front and the back, they're almost identical. It made it easy, it was narrow, great visibility. The K car in the back, they only had 1 or 2 of them when I was around. They were all busted up. Then we went to the Impalas.
I tell you what, I'd rock an Impala now, dude. Those are pretty rad.
Yeah, the Impalas are pretty sweet.
Particularly care for the Impalas at all. I wasn't a fan.
So this is a Ford Crown Victoria, or Crown Vic as we like to call it. This is one of the first cars that I rode in. It felt more like driving a boat, the Ford Interceptor SUV. When they first started implementing these cars, only the bosses rode around in these cars. And then some years later, they integrated them into Patrol. So this was a real like luxury to ride in. Super fast, handled great. It was just more modern coming from the Crown Vic to this.
So I went from Chargers to Tahoes. I was part of that transition for my police department, and I did, I guess, as old as like the older model, like the 2015 Chargers, to like the newer. I think it's like 2018 is maybe when they changed over to the newer body style. I preferred the cars, only because they handled turning way better than the Tahoes did. They just like stuck to the ground a lot better. You could turn off the limited slip differential on the Tahoes, which was pretty rad. And then on the older Chargers, they didn't have them, which is pretty rad. But yeah, like current Chargers, they have so many safety features, they're less fun to drive. Versus the Tahoes, they're good cars. Those are the only ones that I really have experience with. They're good. They're very comfortable patrol cars. Like it made having to sit in it for 10 hours at a time a lot more comfortable. But and I'm taller, so it was, like I wasn't having to sit very slouched in the car like you would in a patrol car. But I don't know. I still probably prefer the car over the SUV unless I was working on the freeway. And in that case, I'd rather have like the visibility. But I was a city cop, so it's a very different perspective.
I don't know how many different cars I had. Hang on.
So you started, what was your first issued horse?
First one was that K car, which was a Deathmobile.
You said a Deathmobile.
Back in his day, they had to catch their own wild Mustang to.
Yeah, dude, that was a frightening car, but it could do a rundown, you know. But it took a little while to get up to speed.
Yeah.
So I've had driven K cars, I've had Caprices, the Ford LTDs before they became the loved Crown Vic that we love so much. I've had a Taurus. I've had a Charger, I've had a Ford Explorer, and I've also been given a, what is it? It's a Chevy.
The Tahoe?
No. It's a car. It was a coupe. The Impala. There you go. So I've also had an Impala.
That was pretty rad.
Been through all those different vehicles, but the Vic was, the Charger was too low to the ground. I high-centered one of those and got it stuck.
No kidding.
I
scraped
on a turnaround. I was turning around on somebody, and I got it stuck, and I had to call a tow and get me pulled off the ring road.
If you didn't take curbs like at an angle, if you try to take a curb dead on, you would high center it. Like you would have to take it at an angle almost every time, and you'd also have to take them fast because you were likely going to scrape the bottom of your car. You just kind of went with it. But you could high center. Those Chargers sat especially the newer model ones. Like once they went away from the old body style, they sat like sports car low to the ground.
Yeah.
Which made them great for like alleyways, or if you're having to do like a lot of 90-degree turns, they just stuck. Like you could really get after it and whip those cars around. But that like in a county capacity, which you're probably popping curbs constantly, or having to drive in medians, like a grassy area.
Yep.
Those things are pretty much useless. Like all of the things that make them great city cars make them like atrocious for leaving the roadway. But I think it's why a lot of people went over to like the SUVs, because it kind of does both. Not well, but it does both.
Yeah, the Crown Vic was just, that was my girl.
I think too with the Crown Vic, and they look very like, I guess not hyped, but you got to imagine like those were big engine bays of which they put big engines in, and they were designed to be fleet vehicles. That's why you saw them in like taxi cab services. That's why you saw them in like executive details and stuff like that. When you had to buy a bunch of them, Ford just kind of crushed it with those. But they were good cars. I never got to drive one, but I've heard they're good.
One sound.
I grew up in one. My parents had one. It
No
was
way.
awesome. I have a scar right here from one when it got totaled. I went hit the cigarette, the little ashtray thing.
Yeah.
Went face first into it because it didn't have the seatbelts that went across your chest to the back, only across your waist. So I went and I just slammed right into the thing. But it was a very spacious car. Or maybe I was just a tiny kid.
Yeah. I also noticed like how much taller the interior is of that. It's just so much taller, like the window angle on it. Like you probably have more cabin space in the Crown Victorias than you did in those. Those Chargers felt short. Like a lot of the taller officers would have to scoot the seat forward and like kick the seat back to like fit correctly.
Sorry. Pug.
A Mustang 5. So the only problem I have with any two-door cars, where the hell are you going to put your detainee? I arrested people for a living. The trunk.
Okay. A lot less of them escaping or stealing your patrol car.
That is
They're
true.
in the trunk.
That is true.
Just give them a little pillow.
Or just properly
You're
hanging.
fine.
Keith was not alive for the Model T, Mom. Leave him alone.
Hubcaps, which is very rare. Our cars typically did not look like this in the figures because it is a highway patrol car.
The other stuff that guys did to them, which I never really understood, ripping the vents out, they'd poke holes in the dashboard so that they could stick their pen in there to make it like a pen holder. And the guys are pretty abusive.
People like to pick at the steering wheel.
Pockets.
So there was always like little pieces of it.
Bro, picking at the steering wheel was my biggest pet peeve. Keith did not. Oh, it was Chris that said drag him. You need to chill. If you are going to, if you're a new aspirant police officer here, things you do not do to fleet vehicles. Don't leave your trash. Like, do not. I'm fine with you eating in the car, but do not leave trash. Don't, like, if you spill something, get it cleaned up. Like, I'll have dudes that would spill, like, Slurpees in the car, like, in the floorboard. And it would stick afterwards. So every single time you'd have to, like, because you're going to have to ride in the thing. That was terrible. And then don't eat, like, really savory food or really, like, pungent food in it. And then spill it and then don't clean it. Because then it just slowly emanated in the car. It was disgusting.
Cheetos were the worst.
Yep.
You get Cheeto dust all over the seats, all over.
It never leaves.
No. So.
Ever. There's some destroyed car somewhere that still has Cheeto dust in it, I guarantee you.
Said SCHP have Ford Mustang GT50 and they transport suspects in the front.
SCHP is dumb.
Ask Homeland Security how that goes for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know how many patrol cars we got stolen? A whole 0. You know why? We put them in back seats. And we also handcuffed everybody correctly.
Mm-hmm. And left the door closed.
Yes. And the doors, yeah. We weren't getting in the back seat. Yeah, we just shut it and it stays shut unless you need it again. The only time I should open back up is when you get into the Sally Port. Scat Pack.
Challenge. Make someone else transport suspects. Well, I mean, what is it? The UK's got the paddy wagons, right?
Those are pretty rad. NYPD does it
show up in
too.
a van.
That is pretty rad. I am jealous of that.
So does
for some reason.
Police simulator. You had to call somebody.
Keith, is this bringing back memories here?
Oh, yeah, that's so sexy. I want one.
Dude, honestly, I like. So they I think it's the 69. Or no, is it the 618? Stop. Is it the 618? There's a Combat Master version of this revolver. It's pretty rad.
Well, this is the regular 38 caliber service revolver. It's a 6-shooter.
It's what I started out with in the police department from 1986
Department.
to probably early 90s, 94. So this is a Glock 19 pistol.
My boy.
That says retired pistol. Look at this.
Yeah, I was about to say you got a retirement pistol. If my boy pulled a loaded firearm on a film set and didn't automatically download the thing, not just like as a police officer, but like as someone who handles guns for a living, like professionally, don't do this, please.
Hey, the armorer told him it was a cold gun. Okay.
To us when the job transitioned to 9mm.
I carried a Glock 19. 9mm.
See, look at her.
Using a revolver, it's slow on the reload.
It was very difficult to load and reload. You'd have to put the bullets in one at a time. Then they came with these speed loaders, which were made of like rubber.
We watched a video.
You had it on your belt, and you take the speed loader out and you could put it there, but it never went in exactly right. The left militants, they were using bombs and they're using 9mm.
Criminals are carrying these guns, and we were kind of being outgunned in terms of capacity. Other than capacity, I never really felt outgunned with it.
For a patrol, I'm not a huge fan of the Glock 19, only because it's a smaller frame, and you also have a smaller slide, which equals a shorter barrel. Pistols in general are like not terribly optimized for offensive capabilities. As a police officer, though they are defensive in nature, there are times where you are going to be the only offense society has against violence, and I would want the extra barrel length if I could have it, just for velocity's
That's why you gotta
sake.
carry what I have, which is the Ruger 44 with the 9-inch barrel.
There it is. Yeah, problem solved. It's practically a rifle at that point.
Yes.
Good night, Ellie.
Good night, Ellie.
So trigger pull makes the gun harder to fire.
Good luck on your
This gun
finals.
actually has trigger.
11 and 12. I would have stuck with the revolver, dog. To be honest. That's terrible. Oh, I wonder if this has to be like Massachusetts legal or something like that.
New York legal, right?
I guess New York legal.
New York is America.
Average is like 4 to 7 from the factory, depending on like for a Glock. That's. I have 4. Josh, revolvers or horses or what?
Trigger pull
Inches?
anywhere between 11 and 12 pounds. It's a very hard pull. I think
Barrel
the newer
length?
models that they have in 2021, they have a 5-pound trigger pull.
Yes.
It has a trigger pull. It's double action, single action gun. So the double action pull is a little on the long and stiff side.
Did you ever have to pull your gun?
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
There was a man with a gun, and we go down in the basement. He's got a rifle pointed at me. You know, I had my gun out. So I disarmed him. Many times I could have used my weapon and it would have been what they call a good shooting, but I didn't. They didn't shoot. I didn't shoot. That's good.
Here's what I'm going to say. You pulled it almost every day, you know, for the most.
New York?
See that.
I think you might be doing it wrong if you're having to pull it every day. I'm not saying there wasn't. I had weeks where I just so happen to have to pull it once a shift, but that's like very unusual. Like very
was
unusual.
He the like 80s guy?
He's the 80s to 90s guy.
Because wasn't that like peak mafia?
That might have been. That might have. And it depends also like where you're working, for instance. So like, I know when, for instance, like we would get stuck like on a detail. So we'd have like a bunch of shootings that would happen in a specific area. And so you would be tasked by command staff to say, hey, I want you to do a lot of traffic here. I want very high visibility. I want you to physically be there and then like stop cars in the area. So when you were tasked with that, the likelihood that you'd have to use force went up a lot. Versus like if you were stuck, I don't know, doing like community outreach stuff or like sex offender registration, verification, like the likelihood of use of force dropped pretty quickly. So every day is, that's kind of wild. That's at least not the norm. But New York be wild, I guess.
Yeah, because 1980s New York, the mob was still pretty.
Well, maybe
I'm,
this
looking
guy,
up right now.
maybe this guy's like a pipe hitter and he's just being modest.
Because I was thinking, I mean, that was when the crackdowns were happening too. So that's where immediately my head went to like, oh, he might have been policing in real bad places.
In the ghettos. I worked in some ghettos. They were all right.
But yeah, see, Chris Kaufman, that's when Rudy Giuliani.
Oh,
before
you
the
know
alcohol
what?
Took him.
You know what? If he was working during Giuliani time, I
That's
bet
what
he
I'm saying
pulled
is
it
I think
every
that's
day.
when there was very active policing versus mafia as
They
opposed
ain't
to
gotta
like.
do into that.
Yeah.
I was simping for Bill. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for monetizing what's never a monetizable stream. This is always kind of off the walls.
Spot, you really did. So, yeah, like I said, I was in a shooting. You know, not that I'm not proud of it, but not something I'd like to go over.
Do you ever have to pull your firearm?
No, I never put my firearm out on anyone.
What? How do you work for that long?
She was 03 to 2023, right?
Yeah, but that's
No, I'm
a
saying I'm
long
asking
time.
just
Yeah,
'cause that's a long.
Yeah.
That's 20 years to not pull the gun out.
That's
I'm curious
wild.
because that's wild difference between 80s guy every day and her like never. Curious what her detail was.
Lieutenant in records, maybe, or
Oh, I didn't think about that. Or she's like quick promoted off the street, right? Like, dude, I only worked 4 years on patrol, right? Like complete, right? And I don't know. Serious, I pulled it out and was really genuinely concerned that I had to use it at least 40, 50 times. More than that on like if you talk about like a high risk situation where maybe I'm drawing it, but I'm going to like a building search, for instance. Like I didn't point it at anybody, but the gun came out. I was very lucky I didn't have to point it at anybody, so it didn't like generate paperwork per se. But I probably holstered and unholstered my gun at least 2 or 3 times a shift, even if it was just for building searches. This happened all the time. I had a lot of commercial areas, and none of them secured their buildings correctly, so a commercial alarm would go off, and now you got to go do whatever. That's bonkers to me. And then, like, on a felony arrest, on a felony stop of a vehicle, on, like, you having to kick a door, like, there's so many situations where, bro, I don't know, man. People aren't, they keep reaching. First, you like have told them multiple times, like, stop that shit.
Yeah.
I don't know,
She's
dog.
wearing a tan uniform, or is that white?
It's white.
It's white.
Yeah.
Okay, it's white. So she's okay.
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
What lieutenants,
I
captains?
feel like Subway or a transit cop, you're probably pulling that thing all the time. Like, I feel like that's worse. That's like a high, I don't know, man. Whatever. That's wild to me.
Well, when I first came on, we were still using heavy wool.
I'm not going to lie, that uniform does look pretty awesome. Like this classic uniform, I wouldn't have wanted to wear the hat because I think caps are like a top is dumb, but
Well, they don't fit your head. That's why.
that too. But also like the like double-breasted like coat, I think it looks good.
They called it
does,
surge.
yeah.
It soaked up the water. This is the Joker. It goes around the neck, the collar is buckled together.
That
so
in
tight,
Texas
they
would
call it
suck.
Joker.
That would.
The 70s were one of the first to wear the powder blue. They wanted to show a softer way, so they went to the light blue.
Yeah, I mean, we started with the light blue shirts. They were kind of sloppy. And then, you know, we transitioned to the dark blue shirts, which it wasn't crazy.
This is pretty much the uniforms that I had. They were like a darker, like who is it? Not Balanchi. Is it Blower that makes most of you? I think it's Blower.
Blower. Yeah, Blower is biggest uniform maker, I believe.
We had these they had like little vents like near your armpits, and they were nice. They even had like a little hole for your radio wire. It was pretty rad for your earpiece. We had very nice uniforms. They fit a little better than some of these, and they were also like, you got to think they're fit to go over your vest. And so unlike traditional shirts that were just kind of made, like they were made a little small and they would stretch to get over your vest, they fit you a little more snug.
Crazy about it first, but I thought it looks a lot better, it looks a lot more professional.
This is standard wear. Most of these guys are wearing cargos, which were also authorized.
I'm jealous of the cargo pants. I had to wear standard polyester pants that just had front and back pockets, and the amount of times I was like, if I could have 2 more pockets, my life would be so much easier.
Cargos were pretty sweet.
Dude, I'm so jealous of everyone that got to wear cargos. Also, like, cargos are made out of better material. Polyester pants broke for everything, dude. Vests? I didn't wear vests. Chris was a night watchman in some town back in the 1800s. He did his policing with lantern light.
Here, it looks like this guy right here is wearing a turtleneck with the shirt. This wasn't always standard. That was something that they implemented later.
You know what they say?
Bro, even the comments are roasting her for never pulling her gun out.
That is wild to me, dude.
Like, she definitely had a career as a desk officer.
Like,
that's crazy.
That is bonkers.
I'm trying to find some information about like what the hell she did. But yeah, apparently Glock trigger pull was specifically made that way for NYPD.
Okay.
So they asked for the trigger pull to be
What's crazy to me on that is that it takes so much to justify.
I'm gonna pin that.
You should. Don't agree with him. Oh my god!
I didn't have a vest for a long time.
Like in my day, we just bench pressed, and that was enough.
We strapped phone books on our chest.
Strap phone books.
Honestly, they might have worked better.
Yeah, like the problem with having like an 18-pound trigger pull or whatever it is that's you saying that you don't trust the officer to make the use of force decision. Yeah. And that you're trying to put as many barriers, because it's not like it's a retention issue. Because like having a retention holster makes sense, because I'm trying to not have the gun come out unless I absolutely want it to come out. I'm nervous about being disarmed or whatever it is. I don't even have beef with like I would require, like if it was me and it was my department, right, I would require officers to carry at least 2 flashlights that weren't weapon mounted, so that they don't not have anything to illuminate what they're seeing for nights. But like every single time you make a restriction that makes it harder to use the device, that means that you don't trust them with it. Conversely, what's worse is it takes what's already cop MOA, which is most police officers are not terribly proficient marksmen when it comes to using a pistol, and you're making that thing way harder to use. So you're dramatic. So if they ever have to use it, you're now dramatically lowering the chances that they actually hit what they're aiming at, if it wasn't already hard before, which I feel like would be more of it costs you more to have a questionable shoot, or to have a not questionable shoot, but a negligent one, right? Where I'm skipping it and hitting Sally down the road, versus maybe having an officer that's stuck in a very gray area shoot and one has to happen. I don't know. That's stupid. That's a dumb policy.
Was that too many donut stains, coffee stains?
Snark says they made the trigger pull that heavy, so it would be like a double action revolver and they could ride the trigger.
I would pull it up on stream, but it'd get kicked off. But like, there's a very defined wall in both Gen 3 and Gen 4. Now, Gen 5 triggers, a little different. Like, there's less of a defined wall on the back of it. And for marksmanship fundamentals, it's important. But like, rolling into a trigger like what you would have with a revolver, the double, it can be done, but it requires so much more training to master, versus a single action trigger, or in that case, a striker fired trigger that has a defined wall in the back. Like, this is not, there is no argument for that actually makes actual sense from people that are professionals. There's not a single person that would say that that's worth any merit. I feel like you're significantly hampering the officer's ability to use it when they need to. Worse than that, I think you're making them more of a liability when they use it, because now I'm putting more barriers for entry, unless you're backing it up with training. Let's say you're making all of your guys subject matter experts on how to use a pistol with an 18-pound trigger, and that's different. But I doubt that's the case. Mm-hmm. They're trying to have an item fix a problem that's really training related, or worse, like recruiting related, where you should be recruiting officers that you don't have any question will make a bad judgment call. Joe Blow. Spring weight.
Like one of those little grip trainers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just for that.
Back when I did rock climbing, it's like.
That's why all these cops have like huge forearms from having to do range sessions with those things.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna totally agree. You would see mustard stains. The ties would have stains on it.
Light color uniforms, like, they get dirty so fast. Like, I never had one, but I wouldn't want one for that very reason. Because even if it's not food stains, right? Spit. Burns from like flares and all that stuff, it would stand out a lot more on a white uniform or a lighter colored uniform than these darker ones. Step Bro, he said, here's your allowance again, don't spend it on anything gross. Where's Blank to tell us to stay off of OnlyFans?
I was meticulous about keeping my uniform clean and spotless, and some guys weren't. I remember doing a roll call one time when I was
Sweat
a sergeant in
stains,
Brooklyn. The inspector came in to do the roll call and inspect the troop, and he stopped in front of this one guy.
No, him especially, he would probably get reprimanded for his wear. They inspected us in Manhattan like they did in the police academy. Your shoes had to be shined. Your uniform.
This one's terrible. These are class A's.
Buttoned up. Him especially, he would probably get reprimanded for his wear. They inspected us in Manhattan like they did in the police academy. Your shoes had.
Yeah, this is a terrible uniform.
Go back to the double-breasted. That was cool.
That's what I mean. Like, these are terrible. Also, the like white
cheap.
Yeah, I think the white gloves are also kind of dumb.
To be
Mickey Mouse gloves.
Your uniform had to be like spot.
Now these are
nicer.
Well, this is for honor guard. You wouldn't actually use this on patrol, so this would have been for funerals or ceremonies or whatever. This that you can tell because it's like high gloss stuff. Like you would never wear this on duty. If you do, you're
Did
not.
your department clean your uniforms, or was that on you?
That was on us. That was on us. We had to clean, and they didn't give us like a stipend or any of that stuff. You had to clean your own. Now they did give us. So I was on 410, so I had 4 uniforms. So I would just wash them over the weekend, which was nice. Class A, yeah. Chris, real police officers don't wear Class A uniforms.
High gloss.
I wear high gloss. It explains everything I needed to know. Chris, you're outing yourself, dog. Though he's also going to defend basket weave. It's like the hill he'll die on too that I'm against, and I'm sure Keith will also be like, Junior, you better check yourself. We'll be assassin basket weave. Were you a basket weave guy, Chris? Are you playing the 5th?
I bet he was. We can look it up.
I'm gonna find some
pictures. He
pictures.
posted a ton of pictures of himself.
That shit is shady. Mine was worn from use. Basket weave for the Chris.
Oh, it's immaculate. You know, because you wear Manhattan.
This is not bad. This kind of looks like the Navy uniforms. This I'm okay with.
You were like a
Dan gets it.
Of the department, you really had to be on point.
Did you ever get reprimanded?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did as a rookie.
I would have reprimanded you when you told me you never pulled your gun.
I wonder if that reprimand was why she never had to pull a gun. They reprimanded her straight to the training center and never saw the streets again.
Basket Dan, this is why you're a mod, dog. Oh my goodness. 3 years and I've never taken my Class A's. Pretty sure I almost lost my Class A's. I had to find my tie and my hat, and when I had to return all of my equipment, like it was a whole thing. It took me forever to find.
I'm seeing if I know these guys. The thing that I hated the most, and that was the baseball cap.
The baseball hat at first I thought would be great. I said, all right, this is great. This is better than this 8-point thing here. And then they made you put that 2-pound hunk of metal cap device on it. So this is what we call a cap device. It has the NYPD or state insignia, whatever the case may be.
Ball caps were the best thing ever invented for patrol, and I will fight anyone that disagrees with me. I do think it's dumb that they made them put like a shield on the thing. Just put the logo, like embroider the logo. We just had ours said like Arlington
sort
Police
of like
Department.
this. You could embroider your logo onto hats.
Like that. Very similar to that. Yes. Very
Heck, you
similar
could
to that.
even just print the thing on there, you know?
Oh my god. But yeah, we had all black. Well, they were like the navy blue that we had, but we had. It was a big deal. I think it took our representation. You're so stupid. It took our like representatives years to ask for ball caps. We got them, and I think I wore it like 3 times. But it was cool that we had them.
You're saying I don't have NYPD's budget.
Underneath it would be your shield helmet, which had a threaded piece in the back that you screwed in, and that thread was about that long, and it was constantly hitting you in the head. It didn't last long.
You know, I'm not on the New York Yankees, New York Mets. I'm New York City Police. I mean, I thought it was the most ridiculous. No, not the most ridiculous thing. Shorts. That was the most ridiculous thing.
This old head's about it, dog. He's the reason why progress never happens.
The shorts on a police officer. Ridiculous.
I'm with him. I don't
see a
wear
number of
shorts.
mustaches. That's the police mustache. You see the picture here. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4.
I had a
5,
stash for a while.
Point like that.
Everybody had a mustache.
That's weird.
Guy walks into a bar. Gotta be a cop. Had a mustache.
Well, that's the 70s porn star stash. If you were a cop at that time, you had a mustache. No beards. The only way you could have beards was you had to have
Like a medical
bumps, right? Which there's probably some technical name like a folliculitis or something, whatever.
This is the average education level of a police officer in NYPD. The bumps. I'm sure there's a medical I did not get a medical. Now they're allowed. There's a lot of police departments that will allow beards, which I think is pretty rad.
Including your old department, now that y'all left and complained about it for 2 years straight.
I think within 4 months of me leaving, they allowed for beards. Stupid.
Beards and tattoos, like visible tattoos.
Redwood Correctional Facility. God bless you. Hello.
That a real thing?
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I need to check this channel and see if it's actually them.
The bumps, it couldn't shave, but it had to be neatly trimmed. You know, look more like a 5 o'clock shadow, but no.
Okay, it's a
that
Roblox group. Cool.
So around 2016,
Shout
they
out.
relaxed their policy on beards. I believe
Jealous.
they probably initially did it because the job was becoming more diverse and a lot of people had beards for religious reasons. Of course, all the guys were happy about that, especially the younger
Bill.
ones, because they wanted beards because they felt it made them look older and people wouldn't know that they were new on the job, which, you know, was pretty funny.
Yeah, in around 13,000 was my starting salary in 1971.
13,000.
In 71, that was probably semi-decent money. It wasn't great money, I bet, but 13K in the 70s. Wonder what the equivalency is.
It's enough.
So
Now, let's
1986,
find
my
out.
starting salary, roughly with night shift
Oh yeah, it's
differential. and
purchasing
moving
power of
overtime.
100K, bro. That's not bad.
That's pretty good.
That's really damn good. I mean, New York probably, you know, that's lower middle class,
yeah,
but
yeah, that's true.
that's pretty damn good.
Was about $35,000, $36,000. At that time, it wasn't bad. The sad part is that starting salary hasn't changed much in 30 years.
34,000.
Yeah, that's for every profession.
In 2000? You could have been a bouncer at a club, made more, man. Like, golly.
What was you making? I missed it.
30. They didn't really change. Like 31.
Oh, so it's same for. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
No, dude, you can make more at
I was
Chick-fil-A.
what 24 years old, so yeah, it was enough because I hadn't moved out on my own yet.
A lot of the people wanted to join the NYPD. Their family, former NYPD, they had an advocation for it. I just happened to score very high in the exam.
I actually turned it down once or twice, and then in 1986, I was out of college a couple of years already. I had jobs but no career. Took the test again, and I said, you know, this time I'm going. And I loved it. It was a great time. It was a ticket to the greatest show on earth, as they say.
I joined the NYPD because I lost a family
Emily's
friend,
assets. What's up?
In 9/11, his
Bonjour.
name was Sergeant Rodney Gillis, and he was very close to my family. And I felt like I wanted to join the NYPD and pick up where he left off.
I bet you Rodney pulled his gun at least once in his entire career. Like, sorry, I keep trashing this lady for that. I was so pro her until then. Starting salary's 150 in California. That gets taxed away from you, but that's still really, really good.
My starting salary was $15,000.
I think my starting was, I think it was like 58 or 55. But we used to be one of the highest paying departments in the state, but that's because we still required a bachelor's degree, and like the testing was a lot more difficult. You got to think what's weird now. Like I never got to experience this, but like I applied for Plano PD, I applied for Arlington PD, which I ended up working at, and then I applied and then rescinded because I got the gig at Frisco and then Coppell. But it was $57K. Thank you. There you go. But the my application classes were averaged like 3,000 applicants, something crazy, and most of which would get weeded out very, very quickly because they had like a felony on their record or something stupid. But like in general, like they were very competitive jobs where I was at. I was going to competitive departments, so they were much higher paying departments, but I was a relatively accredited person. But like even then, that was maybe the median salary for the area. 57 was pretty decent. You could make that working in an office somewhere. They've upped salaries in Texas, at least, allowed for beards, allowed for tattoos, and they can't get enough qualified applicants. It's sad to me now to see it, but back then they were probably very well staffed, getting to pay you peanuts basically, and they'd still show up just because it was, I think, more of a vocation back then, and politics surrounding policing was less complicated.
I was made a police officer in January 1971. I was sent to the 7-5 precinct in East New York, which is a high crime area, where you learn to be a police officer. From there, I went to narcotics, and this is the time during the crack era. And I went to a unit called the crack unit, where we made a lot of arrests on crack. And we were responsible to clean up the crack, get the people off the street. So I made many arrests in narcotics, And then when I finished there, I went into a detective squad. I worked every crime imaginable. And then I retired.
My first command was the 72nd Precinct in Brooklyn, Sunset Park. ESU was what I had always wanted. And at that time, you know, it was a phone call. It was a hook. Did a couple years there, made sergeant, went to the press office, spent 4 or 5 years there. Learned the hard way how things work in the palace, the political aspect of the job, right? And then 9/11 happened. ESU took a big hit, right? 14 of the 23 guys were from ESU. Made some phone calls, and by that afternoon I was transferred back and then finished up there till 2006.
I started out in Midtown South, and my post was from West 28th Street to West 45th Street, all along 7th Avenue. And that was all on foot, which was a fun time because you got to learn who everyone was. You knew everyone, so you got to learn the neighborhood, learned who lives there.
This must have been a nice neighborhood.
That is Times Square.
Oh.
Grand Central Terminal, Penn Station, Madison Square Garden.
Wow. That's a big I'm shocked you're not in more...
Well, yeah, she was doing specific street, probably like a fairly...
like a very
short
specific portion
area
of that.
Yeah, because she said from, what, like 40-something street to another street, so it's a couple blocks probably.
Yeah.
Especially if she's just on foot.
That's wild.
But that might explain why she never had to pull her gun.
Yeah.
If you're on foot, you're not answering, like...
That's fair.
Calls, you're patrolling.
Who doesn't? And then when I went to the Bronx as a supervisor, I just pretty much covered everything. So I really love my time in the Bronx.
In the 1970s, they didn't call it domestic terrorism. They're very careful with their words. They call it political disturbances. Not one day didn't go by, practically, that there wasn't a bombing or there wasn't a shooting all across the nation. And the people who got hit the worst, New York City was one of them. We had about, just in 1969,
How wild.
probably 50 incidents. And one time they had bombed 8 buildings all in one day. And there was a lot of sympathizers with the militant groups. I mean, when you went out on patrol, you had to be very careful. The most earth-shattering day was when Rocco Lawyer and Gregory Foster were assassinated by the Black Liberation Army. They were walking by a stoop. And as they got past the stoop, 3 people came off the stoop, shot him. No warning, nothing. As Gregory lay on the ground, they shot bullets in each of his eyes. Rocco, they shot him in the groin. So this wasn't just an assassination. This was to humiliate. And then they had done nothing. Others were killed after that also. It was significant, these 2 guys, because they were young. You know, 23, 24 years old. They were both in Vietnam. And, you know, a little easier to kill you in Vietnam than it was on the streets of New York. At least it was that way. It should have been that way.
UK
It wasn't.
does have
they
some
served
guns,
their country to die like that. That hits, that hurts.
I was going to say, like, big events. I think that we are very short-sighted when we look at maybe political unrest or civil unrest. It's anywhere, right? Like, the IRA was a thing in Europe, right? They had 2 world wars that took place within their borders, right? But I think though statistically, and I think it's just because there's a lot more people in America now than there were back then. Statistically, I was on patrol for some of the most deadly years in policing, but I don't think that necessarily it was the most violent. I didn't see a lot of the structured, organized, and motivated violence that some of this guy was depicting, where you have people doing like bombings and crazy stuff. That would be wild. Especially like New York's just such a big city. Like that's, if there's a problem affecting the world, it's affecting New York kind of thing. And it probably happens conversely.
Reverse.
Or
Yeah,
because
conversely,
it's affecting New York, it's affecting the world.
If something's affecting New York, the global economy takes a hit.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out. Was it the NASDAQ or is it the S&P 500? Which one?
It's
which
both.
one's theirs? It's both practically, right?
They're both up there, yeah.
Yeah. Dumb.
Texas is trying to start their own. I don't know how that's going to go.
Be kind of rad if we did, though.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know.
To compete because, like, why would you go to this one instead of the ones that are already existing? But
I also don't know
we'll
that we
see.
have enough GDP. Like the GDP is not localized enough. Like where New York, it's like literally a city and then some.
I think it's just convincing enough companies to join it to make it worth it.
That'd be pretty rad.
I think if you can get, I think like energy companies might do it.
Yeah.
Potentially some tech companies that are tired of dealing with New York or California times or whatever might do it.
Yeah, you're
But
on
we'll see.
Central Standard.
Cautiously optimistic.
Be kind of
I
cool.
think it'd be cool.
So at the time I was assigned Brooklyn South Narcotics, I was literally home sleeping. My middle brother was a construction worker in Manhattan, rang my phone and said, hey, you better get up, you gotta go in, a plane just hit the Trade Center. And I was thinking Cessna, you know, some pilot had a heart attack and hit the building. 40 minutes later he calls me, he's like, you going into work, what are you doing? Another plane just hit the other towers. And I'm like, it's too early for you to be drinking, what the hell is that?
It's too early for you to be drinking.
Turned TV on, stood there totally
That's
amazed.
wild.
So I'm like, this is bad. Grabbed an AR-15, which was legal at the time.
That I roll.
The way he said that. The one thing I'll say, and I dealt with shootings in progress in big major like theme parks and stuff like that. Most of those events, once we uncovered them, we weren't as big as we thought they'd be. But until you know, your reaction's like, this could be anything. You play every Call of Duty scenario in your head that you can, or Hollywood scenario that you can. It could be that. And there's not too many experiences that I've had in my life that can compare to, and I can't imagine it because that was real. It's like he didn't have to wonder if it was legitimate or not. He's like, dude, there's major attacks on infrastructure occurring within my city, and I'm the police here. Like, that's got to be a wild feeling. I don't know. I couldn't imagine that. I have like baby imaginings of it, but not real ones.
Headed into work, I walk into the Brooklyn South Narcotics office, got an AR-15, a bag full of mags, and it was chaos. Guys just running out. There's only a limited amount of vehicles. So I grabbed guys, whoa, hold up. That's, you know, if the vehicle holds 4 people, make sure you're going down with 4 people. Let's not go down with 1 or 2. I know we all want to get there. I wound up getting the ferry ride into Manhattan because they had shut the bridges, nobody could drive in. So we had to drive down to Brooklyn Army Terminal, get on one of these fast ferries, and they basically drove us over to Chelsea Piers and threw us off, climbed over the side of the boat and onto the pier. We were like a reserve, let's
How
say.
wild.
You know, there was a couple big chiefs there. All right, lieutenants, captains, let's go. Grab your people. How many guys you got? Started putting rosters together in teams, and little by little they would send the guys out. The dust, right? I remember seeing 2 of my guys show up all of a sudden, and from the knee down, their pants are white. Like, you guys went down there, didn't you? Yeah, you told me you were going for coffee, and you were supposed. Yeah, no. So everybody from basically the knee down, if you were down in this area, it was just one of those telltale signs. Your legs were white, you know, just from all this dust, all this powder. You know, this is all pulverized concrete, pulverized sheetrock, and just, you know, it was almost like a badge of honor, right? You'd see other cops, the Nassau cops, Jersey cops, and they all had that white stain from the knee down or the mid-calf down, and, you know, they were there.
It sounds like all you guys from all over the city came into Manhattan. What was going on to crimes in the rest of the boroughs?
It really kind of shut down. I think even the criminal.
If you were not old enough to remember September, it felt, and I was late elementary school for this basically, but I remember there was like 3 days where it genuinely felt like everything stopped. Like news stopped, like. Well, news didn't stop, but it like stayed on that topic, right? And I remember like everything was weird. I was just recanting to somebody being in my backyard and watching F-16s get like refueled like over, and it wasn't for an air show. They were just refueling in case they had to shoot a plane down. Like that had to have been a wild. If you didn't get to experience this, I'm grateful for you that you're young enough to not have to remember this kind of stuff. But it was very different. Like. At least in the States, if you were born after this, so you're 2002 and on, yeah.
Jacob's calling you out. He said you were distracted by
No,
Gundam Wing.
it wasn't Gundam Wing. It was specifically, what was the one with the animals? He had a Liger. Zoids. I was watching Zoids.
Bro.
So it legitimate. So I'm sitting there watching Zoids because I get home before Jacob does, and Jacob's who's in middle school, and I'm assuming they actually got to hear because we're in Texas, couldn't be further away from this, right? And Jacob runs in and he's like, "Dude, turn on the news." And we had like a whole argument about me not turning on the news. And he switched it to the news, and I don't remember anything about like those next like 2 days. All I remember is like going to school, watching Josh Groban sing like "God Bless America" and stuff like that. Like it was like a wildly different, like, because everyone knew it happened. If that makes any sense, like it was just very strange. The day itself, was a normal day for me. Like I remember like the day I went to school and I came back. Like my teachers didn't tell me about it. I'm sure they might have known.
Oh, really?
But they didn't tell us.
Dude, ours were like, they pulled the TV into my math class and we watched.
I didn't see
after
anything.
the first plane, saw the second one, and then they're like, all right, everybody's going. Like, we've called all your parents basically, like, to queue up. You're all going.
Yeah, so for me, it was the following day, because I'm assuming like the school administration was like, we have to address it.
Is because I moved here when I was 6, so I was 11. So it was 5 years. I had no clue what the hell the World Trade Center was. I had no concept of New York. I didn't know what I was looking at on the TV.
Oh, that's
so
weird.
Like, yeah, I was just like, those buildings are. There's a lot of smoke coming out of them, but that's really it. And then I went home, and then I didn't have class for like another 2 days or something. So I had no clue what was going on until way later.
But I think, and a lot, it's still to this day one of the most devastating domestic things that's happened here in the States. But like, xenophobia went up. Like I'd never, it was a weird thing to experience. Like our entire subculture changed over that next year after September 11th, spooling up into the invasion there in Afghanistan that would eventually happen, and all of that stuff. That inciting incident started what's called GWAT, or the Global War Against Terrorism. And even that, to those of us that would eventually go into high school and get into college, like there was a whole generation worth of people that joined the armed forces because of this specific event. It's wild. Even if they didn't join for another like 10 years, they're almost all of them universally were like, I remember September 11th, so this is why I did it. It was weird. And even years after, I remember being in high school, my senior year of high school, we still had a very special event. We had a football game that happened to land on September 11th. And we did like a halftime show in honor of it. It was very different.
Yeah, that's right. That was the one where it was like both high schools did like the same like together halftime show. We had to like practice with them. That was a mess,
an absolute mess. But like it
was a cool idea.
Yeah, it was a cool idea.
Execution was very
messy,
poor.
But like years later, it still affected our everyday. Like now to this day, like
it dominated American life for 20 years.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah. So like that's kind of wild that he was at ground zero for that. But I can't express enough how much that really affected the American culture. And likely you got to imagine what that did to NYPD, right? Like if you were a cop at the time, and then again, Chris was a cop at the time and Keith was a cop at the time. Like that's wild to me.
Yeah,
I was in
Chris was on
elementary
duty
school.
that day. I was on duty that day.
Yeah.
For us, they put out an all-call. They actually, if you were off, they canceled days off. They canceled everything. Everybody was brought in for just to be available to enforce our facilities and everything like that. And you never knew what was going to be what.
Yeah.
But it was a rough few days. Y2K, and then
I didn't think about Y2K.
I know Y2K, and then when the building went down in Oklahoma City.
Oh, that's wild.
Oh yeah, Oklahoma City bombing. Yeah, that was a wild couple of years there.
Yeah.
We got so much bad intel. We had so many brown-skinned people driving white. Because the first call, I think I told you this, the initial call came out, a bunch of Middle Easterners in a white van. So
that was the call. Oh my God!
The state of Texas, there were white vans, with brown people on the pavement, all up and down interstates, and then things, the intel started getting better and better, and but yeah, that's some interesting ones show up for the last few years.
The only similar event that I had, this was like this was like about a week after the George Floyd event hit national news. It hit national news. People started talking about it. And then I remember ATIU. So we had a intelligence unit that just skimmed the internet. They're literally we called them our internet nerds. They just immediately started hitting us with bulletins. And we were getting updates to our MDC saying, you have a group of organized people threatening to bomb Cowboy Stadium. You have a group of individuals, like it was, and then you'd kick on the news or we'd turn on our phones. It's the technology age. I'd pull up my phone and I would see huge riots happening in California, or they were happening in Dallas. So like every day you went to work for weeks, we went from never, I remember my riot gear sat in a closet for 2 years at that point in time. And I'd never even test fit it after I used it in academy. And it was mandatory that we had to keep them. And it was such a pain in the ass because it's such a huge bag. But we had to keep it both in our personals and then on our patrol cars. Like, we had to take every single person on duty had to have their riot gear with them. And so periodically you would have, intersection shutdowns became more popular at that time. And so having to deal with those and then having to deal with calls, we got into pretty big fights before that where like an apartment complex would turn on you, whatever. But like that was almost every other traffic stop. If somebody stopped somebody, another cop immediately went to them, even if they weren't asked to be a back, because you were likely getting approached. Like, it was wild. The amount of auditors that we got after that, the amount of like fake calls that we got that were either planned ambushes, either like violent ones or also like ones that they wanted to record, because they like this became this weird national phenomenon where now everyone wants to record their police interactions. It was that was a very weird thing to experience, because it was January of 2020 was very, very different than like June of 2020 as a police officer, like night and day different. Not to mention like COVID for everybody else, like would translate to maybe some days off or maybe some canceled plans. Like I remember having to sign sheets of paper that were like, you're going to have to go into work. You're likely going to get exposed to something. You have to sign this stuff so you can't sue the department over what you're being exposed to. We're like, cool.
We have an admin skit about this. It's like, here's your plastic bag. Sign this.
They gave us,
put it over your head.
They gave us a single. It was a cloth. It was like a not even like linen cloth. It was like what they make mouse pads out of. Cloth mask.
God.
And I kid you not, a pair of gloves, like the disposable nitrile gloves. And they said, you need to sign this piece of paper that says that we provided PPE. And I was like, what? And they're like, the sergeant looks you dead in the face, like, you have to sign it. And I was like, cool, thanks. And signed it. I think I threw it in the trash before I even left. I was like, even if I was that concerned, this is kind of a slap in the face. And it was like labeled Arlington. Like it had like a little Arlington logo on it. And I was like, I should have kept that.
Should have.
Just as a joke. But like,
good content.
Oh man, it was so bad. Like that whole thing.
Called it Temu N95.
Dude, it was a Temu like 5N9. Like they didn't even try to get close. Like it was bonkers how far away from accurate. And like part of it, like if it was me or like a healthcare professional getting it, I would have rather the healthcare professional get it, because the likelihood that they are getting exposed to someone that's not just sick with that, sick with anything. You know, if we're going to have low inventory on that, give it to the people that are going to be dealing with medical emergencies more often, firefighters, whatever. But like full shutdown, we're breaking down like house parties. And I'm talking like stepping over, because you got to imagine an entire college population / high school population was home. Pre them knowing what to do with like remote learning or whatever for like 2 months, a solid 2 months before they like figured it out. And that whole time in the ghetto where I worked, it was just ragers, violent, like stimulus check filled ragers, dude. Like it was so like it was an odd thing to, I don't know. I can ramble about that for a while. I'll do one of these days. I'll do what it was like to be a cop at that time. It was like a lowly beat cop in a very busy city. That was a bonkers time. It was I don't know. Not recommended. Very not recommended.
I don't know what the heck happened. Obviously, precincts maintained a certain amount of coverage, but you know, my recollection from later was that I think even some of the news stories were basically like for 3 or 4 days there was like nothing going on.
No crime.
You know, even the bad guys were shot. So this is what we used to call the pile, right? Or the hole, ground zero. This was the pile. A lot of it would have been what we call bucket brigades, just hundreds and hundreds of cops, all with 5-gallon spackle buckets or paint buckets, and passing buckets up, a couple guys shoveling in and passing, you know, literally digging the place out by hand, you know, and this was the day. This was, you know, the purple mask with what they handed us, you know, the N95s, you'd have some tools, and it was just digging. There was, you know, every now and then you'd catch a little void maybe, and guys would do a search, but a couple of the Port Authority guys that were injured and trapped that you got out and you held out hope for something like that, but, you know, those were few and far between, unfortunately. NYPD, we're fortunate, relative term. We lost 23 guys, less than everybody else. You know, 14 guys from my unit, you know, 14 friends of mine. You know, it was history.
I would say the biggest thing for my time there was the George Floyd incident. I feel like that one incident changed the way not only
And to be fair, we get to blame Baltimore PD for that. That's not on us. That's the one nice thing about that event. We all get to kind of turn in Baltimore and be like, yo, dog, like, that's on you, homie.
We police, but policing across the country. These were people protesting the murder of George Floyd. These people just wanted to be heard. We were listening to them at first, but it got very bad very
Your
quickly.
comment,
I
Juan.
saw it from both sides.
You know it's true,
My
dude.
time
It's
in
true.
the police department, people,
It's
you
one of my
know,
biggest
are
pet
arrested
peeves.
all the time.
That's why I keep
That
hand
shouldn't
sanitizer
result in
everywhere.
someone dying.
I'm gonna have to shake a lot of hands.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
In
clean them after.
a weird turn of events in this, what upset me about this incident is that 95% of this was media driven. If the people in the community of Baltimore were angry about what happened, totally get it. That happens every single time there's a questionable use of force for a specific department. The issue was that one incident that happened in that one department was then like spooled up and was like 24/7 news. And so what you end up happening is on both sides of the divide, right? You had very angry people on both sides of the fence. And it was toxic. It was crazy. Because then they would get on social media and yell at each other and then get more pissed off. And because it got engagement, the algorithm would promote those posts that got them more pissed off. And it was all part of an election cycle where they just spent time getting pissed off at each other. And what would happen is this would, especially for young people, would spill out into the streets. What made it worse is those young people had nothing else to do. They had literally, and even regular workers that were like, I guess I'm going to hang out at home now. I'm going to sit at home on my phone and stare at my TV and just get like crazy angry out of something that normally there's tragedies happening all over the world that people don't blink an eye at because it's not being fed to them 24/7 and they're not being attacked for their personal choice on that specific matter. That time, and I guess that's when they cracked the Da Vinci Code for media and marketing for it, it was wild the amount of vitriol.
You know what? I think that was probably the best time for social media companies to
yeah.
refine algorithms because you just had everybody constantly on.
Yeah,
As
the whole
opposed to
time.
before where it's like, well, if you're at work, you're probably not using it that much. You're going to check your Facebook
There
at
was
lunch.
everything was peak time,
But it's
the whole thing was
constantly
peak time.
second
Like
screen.
like doom scrolling was invented that year.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucked because like I didn't have to, I was an essential employee, right? Like literally nothing changed about my work schedule other than I worked more. Like there was mandatory overtime shifts, which I hadn't experienced until like a year or two prior to that, when I was just new, right? And it's just going to happen to you because you're a rookie. But like, dog, it was wild. And then like, it was weird too because like everyone got a certain level of upset. So I'm not going to go and cast a stone at it, but it was hard to watch like impressionable people in my life that had like very strong opinions about it. And I was like, dog, like you gotta breathe for a second. Like this is effectively like a manufactured issue. Like it don't get me wrong. The issue exists, but it's like, compare it to what was happening before and what's happened after. Like there's almost like a zero-sum game on what happened about it. It just became less profitable for news outlets and social media. They were like, well, like this isn't getting me sponsorship dollars.
And as the representative of the media here,
Yeah.
because luckily y'all have me,
yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and throw the blame back on y'all as well, because not y'all as in cops. I'm talking about y'all.
No.
Audience, general people in the world.
They fed it.
Your media diet defines.
Yeah.
It is the same as eating junk food. It is the same as choosing not to exercise. Like it is the things that you watch tell the media companies what to feed you. And since the 90s and 24/7 news cycles, like stuff that makes you mad is what gets views, clicks. It's what drives the entire economy of media companies. If people took a step back and just curated their media consumption more, watched longer form stuff with maybe better researched things, read longer articles, you know, we'd have maybe proper print media instead of the crap we have now. We'd have, because like almost all of this has been driven by the absolute need to have super quick, immediate information that doesn't have to be verified, right? Because that's the thing, is like we demand breaking news when we don't have enough information. If you would be willing to wait 2 to 3 days to get a fuller picture, right, as opposed to like immediately being like, well, I read this headline and now I'm going to immediately go to Facebook, I'm going to immediately go to TikTok, and I'm going to start yelling about it.
Look at what happened on Saturday.
Exactly.
The amount of misinformation that came out of it. And I already knew. I was like, we'll see. And I remember I kept telling, like, I was like, we'll see. I already know, 95% of what's coming out now.
Stories I saw that are like, the next day you're like, well,
bro. Just kidding.
Y'all real quiet now. Okay. But it was just, but that's when you talk about like, well, it's all the media's fault. It's like, no, because like the thing is now we're all the media, right? We can all create this. This channel is proof of it. We can all create the same noise that comes through from CNN or whatever, and technically our voices are amplified much more.
Jacob says you only need 140 characters to know the whole story. Even like an article, like let's say, I don't care how thorough the article is, right? Unless it's like a 10-page thing that nobody's going to read anyways. Like to try to sum up any incident in that amount of time or that amount of content. And then what's worse too is like as an audience member, right? And it was hard. A huge reason why we started this channel is like as an audience person, you lack expertise to even
you have
like
no way to vet the information you are being given.
If I handed you, it's funny too, because now like I had to take research methods under criminal justice, but when I was a biology major,
I did too for psych.
Biology was way worse, and I thought about
class
this.
I ever took.
It's really good, but like you start to learn, like you could look at the exact same data and come to like wildly different conclusions until you really like dive down into methodology and like what were they using and what is that in context, and can I place these findings in again. If 1 out of 10 doctors, right? Like it's like, well, how many doctors did you question? You know, were you at the convention for Colgate?
Only have 10 because that's a very small sample size, or did you have 1,000? And you're,
and where were they at? Do they have any financial history with you? Like,
are they doctors MD, doctors PhD, doctors chiropractic? Like, what is your? You know,
it's a weird.
That's why, like. Every single time I see just like, well, this article about this study or whatever, it's like, okay, you have one study that you're basing conclusions off of. You need a ton of studies and an overview of those studies to get a decent idea of what you're looking at.
So
it's really hard to get enough data.
Are degrees required for most law enforcement? No, but there is typically like some level of college credit. So they'll either have like basically like half an associate's degree. I think it's something like 16 to 20 credit hours. Where I was, a bachelor's degree used to be required. I don't know if they're still maintaining that, but where I was a police officer, there was, but the vast majority, no. The vast majority of it, and what's sad too is it's not like they're supplementing that with a long academy. They're just, you know, as long as you fit our culture, here's a gun and a badge, which is a terrible way to develop a police department.
Was hurtful. And I don't think any good
that's true also. Long form documentaries, just because it's a documentary does not mean it's true. It is just an argumentative essay. It is just a media form. It's a structure. It is not a arbiter of truth in any way, shape, or form. Check sources, check stuff, and if you don't have the time, don't have the expertise, don't form a strong opinion based off information someone else fed you. That's why if you ask me for strong opinions on almost all political topics, I will just be like, well, maybe not, and then I'll just poke at it because it's not something I have the time or expertise to go dive deep into.
I'll say also as somebody that's like, I do media, specifically like marketing for industry. Like these are big industry people making big decisions that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars a year, right? we develop biasing language. We sit there, it'll be a room of 10 people, and we'll sit there and say, okay, well, who does this product, let's say it's a vacuum, right? Well, who does this product like appeal to, right? And I'll be like, well, type A people. So this is a $500 vacuum. Like, who's gonna buy a $500? The person that's like
type 2A people, yeah.
Yeah, you type 2A people, but that like
a shirt. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, you should sell that.
I'm definitely selling that.
But like who what's their demographic? They likely have they're likely going to be older. They're likely going to be people that are of higher income, and so like I need to tie it to some level of brand affinity, and I need to tie it, like, we think about all of those things before presenting media to you. And this could be everything from the label on the box for the product all the way to the way that we disseminate that data to people. Versus something that's going to be like more affordable, we talk about value. We'll use big keywords like that make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. We'll try to tie it more broadly to being people and being more rough around the edges and having calluses on your hands. And there's like this blue collar identity that most working class people tend to identify with, and we'll cater to that language wise to do it. Anyways, that's what was occurring at this time. The problem is the side effect was people like myself getting bricks thrown at them for fun, I guess.
What they saw.
What was also worse were people that acted like they were speaking on my behalf, saying some hellacious shit that I did not agree with, but would ultimately get identified with me as a police officer, which sucked a lot.
I took this job to help people, as the majority of the people that I worked with. It's almost like what you were working for was kind of like destroyed in an instant by a cop that wasn't even, a part of NYPD. It was tough because people were working for long hours. We were out there all night. When you work a protest, you don't get to say, okay, it's 8 hours, time to go home. You're there.
That was super demoralizing. I don't know if you've ever played a sport where you were very short on the bench, right? Like you didn't have a lot of people on the bench. And watching a new group of people come in when you're gassed is like the most demoralizing thing ever. Like somebody will come in off the bench, you're like, ugh. I've been running after this person for the last 10 minutes, and now I have to go play someone who's fresh. It'd be like in a boxing match, and like the 6th round, a new fighter shows up, and you don't get to leave. It's the best way I could describe it. That's that way with crime in general. Mm-hmm. Like you've just gotten 2 pretty rough arrests and got lectured by a senior officer because you're an idiot, and then like it's some dude that woke up an hour prior is like, I'm gonna do crime.
Until they disperse. So now you have days
shout out
of
Grant
that
for the
on
membership.
End. People are tired.
Oh yeah, thanks Grant.
People are on edge.
Also, Isabel wants to know, is 10 weeks long enough for officer training? Most UK training is 10 weeks, and due to budget cuts, instead of training traffic stop, they watch YouTube videos that are not made by the police. Oof. 10 weeks is 2 months? 2.5 months? That's real bad.
You would have a hard time. You'd have a hard time even teaching them the case law surrounding the law they're enforcing in 10 weeks. Like really and truly, like, because you'll learn like broadly. I'll give you an example here in the States of like, what's the 4th Amendment, right? And so the 4th Amendment has to do with search and seizure. That's a complicated topic. What constitutes a search? What about an open air sniff? What about, me checking someone's pockets? What about asking questions? Depending on the context of what questions I'm asking and whether or not that person's in custody, you have potential 4th Amendment violations. Oh, thank you. Oh, just to let you guys know that my wife is crushing it. I have hash browns, over easy eggs, and bacon today. Ooh. I'm doing pretty good. So it's kind of what I mean is like the you wouldn't even be able to learn like radio etiquette in that amount of time. Like there's a lot to know, and maybe they're making up with that in field training. Like I really do believe you should be like a junior police, kind of like how they treated squires kind of back in the day, or like you just had a lot to learn about being like a knight. And so maybe you just got to take a really long time of learning some of this stuff in the field with diminished authority. You're not allowed to make arrest decisions or use of force decisions. Like you're just kind of there to learn. Keith talked about this, that he actually started in the jail, which I think is brilliant because you get to learn what a PC affidavit looks like, how people are articulating the law, right, on a PI or a DWI or whatever. You're getting to look at warrants as they come across the table for blood or for whatever it is. And so like that, I would almost argue you might start somebody in dispatch just so they can know what the city's like. You get some orientation and familiarity of the city. You get to learn about frequent flyers. You get to learn about radio etiquette. You go into the jail. You get to now deal with actual PC for an arrest and stuff like that. You might even make them do report writing critique. We had non-sworn staff that had like a prompt. So if I was alleging these crimes, they knew to read for these things, right? And they would sit there and say, well, you need to send this back or you need to do whatever. But you might start them in a lot of these ancillary positions because you get some value out of that person. You get to learn if they're a good fit for your department. You also give them time to screw up. And then if they fit the culture, you can send them through academy and then go ahead and let them be police officers. But it's a very complicated job.
That's actually really, yeah, I like that idea. I've also, we've talked about this before too, the idea of like potentially partnering with like local colleges and stuff like that to do specifically like policing programs that immerse you in that culture before you actually have any responsibility whatsoever, to see if your character fits. You see if it's something you actually want to do. Because like a lot of the problems with recruiting are character-based, judgment-based, you know, and a lot of that's really hard to weed out until you actually do the job because you just can't replicate the conditions.
Yep.
It's the same problem that psychological studies have. It's like it's really hard to replicate the kinds of conditions that cause the kinds of effects that you want to actually study, because to do so would be incredibly unethical and probably wildly dangerous. Seriously. So you have to just kind of think of weird roundabout ways to do it, and it doesn't work great.
It's a big reason why like we're just now barely learning about like stuff like PTSD, and like we're actually getting a handle on like the chemical changes it does in your brain. Is you had to have enough people get hurt so that you could study it. And rarely
do you care that they were getting hurt too.
Yep.
Because we had a long time they were getting hurt, we just didn't give a crap.
Yep.
And we just thought, well, whatever, they like their drinks and they, you know, their wife must be annoying them, that's why she's got black eyes. And then found out that's not how that works.
As we see police get away with murder. As a police officer, when I see statements like this, I feel like they're very blanket. It's kind of like, why are we getting this flag?
She's like, I never even pulled my gun. Sorry.
That did not happen here.
I had to crack the joke.
Definitely not me.
When I was in the 4th-3, a woman was shot and killed, unfortunately, by a fellow sergeant. You know, it was terrible. I knew the guy personally. He's a good guy, very fair guy. And to see people come in that did not live there, try to call him a murderer, try to target his family. Our community
it was a good time.
Were the ones that rallied around us.
That was always
the people
the
came to the precinct to
funniest
protest,
thing to me
and our
during
community
2020 was
right
like
there with them and saying, no,
suburban
like, you guys don't live here.
People in
Go
towns
home.
of like, specifically my town of 60,000. I'm like, y'all, I've seen our police. I almost got hit by one doing donuts on the highway because they're so damn bored. They are not negatively interacting with any of y'all. Like, and you're over here like acting like to them the same way that, you know, you would act to like, I don't know, Minneapolis
Also,
PD or whatever.
I also had a hard time listening to stories where people like, well, they pulled me out of the car and they searched my car and that was bullshit. I was like, were you smoking weed that day? Did your car smell like weed? It's a constitutionally protected search, or at least verified search, right? That's different than getting ripped out of your car at gunpoint, right? That's different than, you know, actually getting assaulted by police, which absolutely happens, you know? Heck, I assaulted people as a police officer. It totally happened. But, like, people would treat a traffic stop the same way as, like, what happened to Rodney King or something. And I was like, y'all are crazy, dude. Like, you're now attributing what, again, your rage-baity social media taught you to attribute anything. I vividly remember, this is after this incident, right? Helping a poor kid that got stabbed over a bag of weed. I'm sitting there trying to save his life, and the whole apartment complex assumed I shot the guy. This poor kid.
That story is in the SWAT episode that Sony will not let us release.
Oh, dang! It's pretty good.
No, literally, like that was such a great story. That's gonna end. It's gonna have to end up in a short because if they don't let me freaking put it out, but whatever.
It's a good story.
Oh man, I have my own PTSD.
I should have got that.
Post-traumatic Sony disorder.
Stop.
You know, we live here, we work here, we know our cops. We don't want you here. And they told them that.
Shout
And
out
those
rookie
people
lawyers, y'all are
left.
great.
You know, you would see something like this on the news and feel that everywhere, everyone hates police. And I don't necessarily believe that. I don't think it's accurate all the
Also,
time.
flip side of
And
this
it's tough.
was the police can
It's
do
tough
no
to-
wrong crowd, which also made me mad because I'm like, bro, there's a middle ground here.
Well, there was also a lot of people
Well, we
that were
can-
like, he didn't do anything wrong. And I was like,
Yeah.
I kind of did. Like, I can articulate, like, I have been assaulted by suspects that made it to the jail the same way I found them. Alive and well, maybe a little more disheveled, but like, there is a way to do the job. Now, do people get hurt? Yes. In criminality, should some people get hurt? Absolutely. But like, there was some wild stuff being said. And like, there was a side of the fence that like, I hated it because they would often attribute what they were saying to me. And I'm like, that they do not represent me. The big reason why we did this channel as well. But there were rational, reasonable people, but that is not what got shared on social media.
Tough to see.
People who complain will complain about the police because they got a violation, whether it be a traffic ticket, whether it be a parking ticket. But at that particular time, boy, they don't like the police. And something happened, got robbed, or your house is burglarized. Where's the police? If something happens, they want you to be everywhere.
I think in general, they liked us. You know, there's always that faction that's, well, you know, you're an occupying army and you come in here and you run back to Long Island or wherever, which wasn't me, but there was always that group like that.
In my opinion, I don't think everyone hates cops. I think the majority of people want to see cops. Criminals hate cops. It's only how you interact with people and how you talk to people. They're bad eggs in any profession. If I had a bad experience with a doctor, I wouldn't say, oh, all doctors are horrible. Do police departments have work to do? Absolutely.
Knowing what I know, I probably would not be a police officer. Not that I love
Mega based.
it. I love being a police officer, but you
That's
first get
true.
there, you're doing midnights, you're doing 4 to 12s, you're doing 8 to 4s. You're not home for holidays, you're not home for weekends. It's not a great life.
Today, I mean, you watch the videos, guys are mounted off on Kostovs, just zero respect, so terrible. Absolutely could not recommend anybody in good faith taking this job here.
People don't respect police like they used to. When I came on,
I don't like that word. I didn't care if somebody was disrespectful. I only cared when somebody was unsafe. Right? It's a job at the end of the day. I know a lot of people want to say it's a vocation, but it is a job. Nowhere in the oath do I say I will do this to be respected by the public. Like, I prefer like the Batman approach to it, not in the sense you get to go beat people up with impunity, but
Clip it.
stop. No.
Just gonna clip it. I prefer the Batman approach and then beat people.
Yeah. This idea that you were taking on the burden of what has to be done to create a safe society, and you should treat it that way. That means that you're going to deal with a bunch of people that don't like you. Keith, you're making noise. There it is. There it was.
He's back. He's not listening to us.
Keith,
Yes.
you're making noise.
Oh,
Your mic's getting set off by fan or something.
You are forgiven.
Computer.
something. Okay.
I prefer the way of looking at it and saying that people are not going to like me. I am the consequence of bad decision making or circumstances or whatever. But I'm doing the job because I'm doing this job because I want to create a society where people feel safe. And it meant I was going to do things that were very uncomfortable or very unpleasant. And there's nothing fun about death notifications. Nobody looked at me and said, "Thank you for telling me my loved one's dead." You know, like no one ever told me, you know, thank you for ripping me out of my car when I was hammered in the middle of the night and not letting me try to drive home. Nobody thanked me for that. Same thing, domestic abuse suspects. Worse was like, especially when you dealt with like kids and stuff, when you were doing like particularly heinous crimes, My victims were oftentimes angry at me for arresting the people perpetuating that violence on them, but because they were unsure about what was going to happen afterwards, or they were nervous that they were going to get re-victimized. And they're like, if you just didn't intervene, this would just go away. And it's not the case, but like, you're not the good guy as a police officer. The good guy's like a friend, or the good guy's like your neighbor that goes out of their way. The good guy's the perfect stranger that's willing to pay for your food. That's the good guy. Even like the good guy with a gun mentality. If you talk about people doing CH, you're not a good guy. You're a guy willing to take on the burden of what's required to create a safer and more peaceable society. And that does require violence, whether you like it or not. I loved, there's the interaction between, what's the lawyer? You can't handle the truth. Kind of.
Oh, yeah.
A Few Good Men?
Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
A Few
So
Good Men, yeah.
they go back and forth, and he's clearly, Jack Nicholson has a very twisted idea of what's okay in military structures, but it does make a very specific point. He's like, I do things you would never fathom so that you can sleep in the bed you have that night. And he's right to a certain degree. Philosophically, he's correct. You just have to do it with a certain air of, I'm not doing it so you can like me, or I'm not doing it.
You can do that, but you need to do that with accountability as well.
Well,
that's the back end portion that no one wants to talk about, but it is an important part of it.
And you have to do it knowing that they won't understand. I have gotten, and I have felt better as a person that came out of policing, and like my PTSD even got better when I accepted that people will never understand why I did it or why it had to get done a certain way. And part of this is our job of educating people on why, but like, I'm glad they don't understand, because that means that they live in a world isolated from that kind of suffering. That's a good job. You should be proud of yourself as a public servant. If you know, as a plumber, your person doesn't have to smell shit, right? All the time. You do it so they don't have to, right? As a mechanic, you're busting up your hands and going through all the pain and trouble of doing it the right way and fixing it the right way, so somebody else doesn't have to learn that skill and suffer in lieu of that. You're basically a human sponge for human suffering, but that's a good job. If they don't understand and they don't get it and they're spoiled and they're whatever.
As a videographer, you have to sit there quietly for 12 hours while Josh to watch TV.
Yeah.
And you can't hear it because they
You'll never understand. You'll never understand.
Keith understands now, but nobody else
do.
Keith does get it now.
You just have to sit there quietly, and then they'll ask you a question, and you're like, I have no clue what you're talking about. I can't hear it.
We're gonna have to fix that one of these days.
Yeah, we'll need like 8 pairs of headphones. But yeah, no, it's the true suffering that the burden that we carry, Josh. Really.
So to push back on what this lady's saying. Oh, and all three of them said it. There's a lack of respect for the. I don't need it. You're not doing that job for the right reasons if it's to get respect. That they need it now, and you should see it as a vocation or as your service to your community or to the human experiment that is society. See it that way, and I think you'll be happier with it. You'll also be better at your job because you won't take stuff so damn personally.
You know, you respected the uniform. You know, you saw a cop on a post. They told you things one time. That was it. People now, they like to fight. It's the age of social media. People like to film the police and get in the way. Police are afraid to like make mistakes. Makes you hesitate more, which is just not good for anyone. When I came on, you couldn't even use your phone. Now we have our memo books on our phones. You know, we're always using the phone. We use phones to run people's backgrounds.
I always see police officers at the train station near me. They always go, they're always on their phone.
That's why they're always on their phone. We're in a different age.
I thought I had the best job in the world as a New York City detective, solving crimes. You start out with nothing, and you make a plan, and you arrest them, and bring them in to the family. Now they know who killed their son, daughter, or whatever.
Family ever say thank you to you?
So of all the homicides that I solved, I never got a real thank you, and that's part of the job. Don't let them.
Based.
That guy gets it.
I mean, yeah, I love the job. I delivered a baby one time, a couple of water rescues. You know, it was the greatest show on earth. It really was. And the politics aside, let's say, if you're a trooper or some other department, you may be riding the road for 20 years. There is so much here to do, so many different aspects of this job. There's specialized units, there's detectives, there's robbery.
Don't sell me on
It is at
NYPD.
19.
I do love the job. Yeah. It made me who I am today.
I love the job.
I was going to ask you, Keith, did you love it?
I did. I went in at a great time to be in enforcement. And I did. I love my job, man. I was always eager to get up and go to work. I loved it.
I think I loved it for about 3 years. I will say that. I had a very acute instance where I started to not like it. And ironically, most of it was internal. I think a lot of it was we had a lot of internal politics where I worked. And I would have accepted a worse time on patrol if I was liberated from how bad those politics were.
The old adage, people don't quit bad jobs, they quit bad bosses.
Yep. I would 100% agree with that statement, because if it outside of that, like the actual day-to-day of doing the job, even when it was hard, I did love it. It was very, I think having purpose you can get behind. Like I'm not fulfilling a political agenda. I'm not contributing to socioeconomic policy. Like I'm not, in some foreign land somewhere doing foreign policy. Like it was very much, especially at the P1 level, when you're just a beat cop assigned to go help people, right? What you did was very important to the people you interacted with, like critically important, even if they didn't understand it. Finding a runaway kid and getting him home safe before someone else found him. I don't know, like catching the dude stealing everyone's like mufflers. Like it was cool, because you realized that like you, as much as it felt like Sisyphus and you can't solve crime. You can only like bring some level of justice or prevent some of it. Or I was trying to say, you can't stop victimization, but you can fight crime. That's the best way I could describe that.
Yeah, because even prevention's such a hard thing. Like technically, yes, you can displace crime, but you're not really. It's going somewhere else. It's not really stopping. I mean, as an officer, you can't. As a society, you can. But that's a cultural.
Yeah.
It's cultural, economic. That's much bigger than policing. But policing gets to bear the brunt of that blame.
But I did love that aspect of it. I missed that at times, that like everyone, for the most part, everyone I worked with like got that, and it was cool. Like, hey, let's catch a murderer, or let somebody robbing people or whatever. That was cool. I do miss that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do think that's one thing that like doesn't get talked about enough, is the culture of the department makes a big difference, because going back to the 2020 thing of like everybody gets blamed for what one department does, but so much of that comes from, and we see it a ton in the body cam videos.
Yeah.
Especially when we're talking about like the sergeants, the chiefs, the people speeding and trying to get out of it. It's like from the top down, you've got culture is, well, give me respect. It's my authority. It's very, as opposed to, this is the service that you are providing to a community that is paying for it. It is not an identity, it's a job. And if, this job is not for you, then it's okay to quit. You don't have to stick around forever just because you decided that being a cop is the thing that you are. I think a lot of that department culture, it shows in the accountability that gets placed on the officers when something bad happens. And then it also translates to how the community ends up feeling about those officers. And it makes the experience probably better. And that's why you hear, especially like in our Discord and from you guys, about like the guys who are in departments where they feel supported, where they feel like their bosses have got their backs, all that stuff, they're still pretty happy.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's like the guys that are like, our council's chief just decided to go along with it, and now we're looking for anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
Dude. And then all you're left with are the cops that have nowhere else they could go because nobody's going to take them.
Yeah, I think there's politics and culture. I mean, they're cancerous to a city. Not to mention, not just on policing, because you can see like apathy, for instance. Like you could have code enforcement that's like, well, what am I going to do? They got fucked up stuff happening in their house. What are you going to do? I don't know. Apathy is probably the worst thing you can have in any of that stuff, because it becomes cancerous, and now everyone's exempt from the law, and you're letting people out with bail reform and all that. What is this? Brazilian prison uses geese to deter escapes. What?
They're attack geese.
Attack geese. All geese are attack geese.
Where's Poofy when you need him?
I know, right?
Beware of the geese.
Well, he's out there deterring
no
escapes.
honking matter. At this prison, these little guys live in this grassy area along the perimeter wall. They are the first line of defense against jailbreaks. Marcos Coronetti has worked with the geese here for more than a decade. He calls them his colleagues.
It's never happened, but if someone tried to escape, the geese would go crazy. They would get our attention without a doubt.
Roughly 1,200.
So you don't know if it works?
That's my only beef. That's kind of my only issue. Is
Maybe
like,
they
could
tested it with guards?
That's what I'm getting at.
It's like, how do you know?
Prisoners live here in the São Pedro de Alcântara Penitentiary. It's one of about 60 prisons across the state of Santa Catarina. It's the only one in the country that uses geese as guard dogs.
The prison switched out guard dogs for geese about 15 years ago. It's never looked back. Coronetti says hounds are a lot of work. They need visits to the vet, training and attention, not these geese.
They're not expensive. They make much more of Arrakis than the dogs, and they have no time off. They are far better prepared than dogs for this job of surveillance.
That's because these are sentinel geese. Guilherme Renzo Rocha Brito is a zoologist at the Federal University of Santa Catarina.
Sounds like a guy that got paid to say geese could do some cool stuff.
Sounds like a guy who had a lot of geese and was like, I need to do a study. I need some federal money. How do I do this?
What?
And he's just like,
I don't know.
Penitentiary with geese?
Brazil's wild, yo.
My grand needs to stand out today.
They were domesticated and have been used for this purpose for a long time. They are animals that vocally signal any disturbance in the environment.
Did you test this on like a fan first, at least?
The geese are not the only line of defense. There are nearly 200 cameras, surveillance at each tower, guards who make the rounds. But the geese are key.
They are always alert. It's a 24 hours of around-the-clock surveillance.
And no one has to tell them to do anything. The geese are just doing what geese do. Michael Fox, Tier 2 World, São Pedro de Alcântara, Brazil.
I wonder how they keep them from just flying away.
Probably clip their wings. That's what they do to...
That's why they're making a ruckus.
Like ducks and stuff like that, if they don't want them flying away. It's 10 minutes.
I sent you a ton of them in the Discord, like short ones.
Oh, let's see. Oh, Juan did send me a ton. Whoa.
We've got a lot. I pulled some Australia police videos so we can shut Dan up.
U.S. police.
See what he does.
Versus German police.
Yeah, that one's a skit.
Let y'all watch this while I pull the next
It'll
one.
play into what we were talking
Do you
about.
know why I pulled you over?
No, officer. Did I do anything wrong?
Is this your car?
Oh, you think I stole this car?
I didn't say that. Look, I'm just following protocol.
Oh, you're just following protocol? Okay. Well, I know how this goes. Here's my license.
Okay, great.
This skit's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
Is there anything else? You want to search
German humor.
me for drugs? You want to take a piss sample, maybe?
No, but there is a problem.
Oh, yeah? Enlighten me.
Your license plate. It expired yesterday.
Oh, really?
I will have to file a charge. You know, the fine for this offense is at least 200 euro.
Oh, man, are you serious? 200 euro for one day?
Yes.
Yes.
But you know what? I'm kinda in a good mood today, so I'll make an exception. Okay? I'll let it pass. But you fix that ASAP. If I see you again and you didn't, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, of course.
So this is a high level of discretion. is my guess here.
Officer,
There's no way if he
I'll
was
fix it
being,
as soon as possible.
like, if he was given that much attitude, this guy would have let him off with a go warning.
Yeah, probably not.
You're just
All right.
Also, I like how I guess
Quietly
German
like,
cops
you
just
get a ticket.
mentally memorize the entire database of like IDs because he just looked at it and was like, "Yeah, it's legit." Didn't have to actually run them or nothing. Interpol doesn't exist. None of that.
Right,
I mean, it's Germany. He's one of 3 black guys, so.
Oh,
Please,
Maybe
please, someone in Germany, argue with him on that. I'm just a little nervous. You're not wrong. I'm a little nervous.
one more thing. I'm actually looking for the train station. I'm a bit lost here. I was wondering if you could, like, direct me there. Do you know what way it is?
Yeah, the train station is just down this road, maybe 200 meters, then you turn right, then left. You know what? I'm going this way anyway, just follow me. And
this is badly written.
Also, like, oh, so an American cop has never written someone a warning and given them instructions.
And I show you the way, okay?
Snark, you to chill.
Put your hands out of the window! Your hands where I can see them! Now!
I like how there's a Mercedes Benz.
I was about to
What's
say.
going on?
License and registration!
Is there...
If someone legitimately can find a high-risk traffic stop where that was the question that being asked, I will, I don't know, give them $5 or something.
I'll send you
like
merch.
I'll something. Because that I can guarantee you with a high level of certainty.
You're not saying license and registration. You're saying get out of the car.
No.
Problem, officer?
License and registration!
Also, you wouldn't debase yourself with a Walther. I'm not saying I make bad guns because I don't, but those aren't duty guns. I'm sorry.
I'm asthmatic. I can't breathe.
Oh, they're going this
Can I
route.
reach over for my inhaler, please?
License and registration!
Oh, hey, at least the trigger discipline's on point.
I like
Look at
his
him.
drop leg holsters like in his nuts here. Also, this is supposed to weigh these old. This is like a very old. I'm talking like from this is pre-Keith old probably for a tactical vest. But the belt clips are supposed to clip on to the belt itself, like they're like keepers.
Mhm.
They act like keepers, and this is not connected. And these pouches are for like FAL mags, like enormous magazines, of which he doesn't have. This is a weird skit.
Hey, it's in my wallet. It's just in the seat.
Don't move! License
Okay.
and registration.
He's really on this.
It's on the seat.
Let's see. 0 out of 5.
I think in Germany it's Z out of 5.
Okay, I'll say Z out of 5. But likely an
check myself.
accurate depiction of how this
Oh, never mind. I think it's
dude
only British colonies that do that.
picks
Go back
up
to 0.
a date. 0 to 5, but likely an accurate depiction of this guy picks up a date. Done. On to the next one. What is this? Day in the life
This
of...
is New South Wales. So New South Wales Day at Life in the Academy.
5
It's in
a.m.?
Australia, I believe.
I'm already out.
Day having to shave and stuff because you have to shave every day. Everything's
Had
got
to
to
shave
be
every
perfect within your presentation. So like your shirt's got to be ironed properly.
This is where Sydney is.
Your boots.
Bro, if you're not doing this the night before, you're an idiot. You can get a solid more like 30 minutes to an hour if you shine your boots and clean your uniform the night before. Some military guy in here is going to back me up here.
Got to be polished. And that's super important for when we go out there. That's like someone's first impression of us. If everything looks nice, then that already sets us off on a good foot. When I first got down here, I got moved into the towers. There's different sort of arrangements. So
They have a little pond for their jail geese.
So I got put in the towers.
These are the worst looking caps I've ever seen. I would take the 8-pointers over this.
They're like a visor ball cap hybrid. What is this?
Like if this
piece of blue painter's tape.
Like the sweatband is on the outside.
It's kind of weird, yeah. If this was the cap I was issued,
the accent.
having a shave and stuff.
These are your people, Dan.
Bro, I tell you what, Dan gets savage.
Communal living. You're living pretty close to everyone, so you sort of get to know everyone a lot. You make friends.
What is the purpose of the blue band? Is that
I'm gonna have friends
like? Oh, is that just a Velcro strap?
No doubt about that.
I bet it's reflective.
When you're down here, you definitely don't have to worry about cooking your own food. The meal room's got everything that you need.
I'm not saying it's not edible. I'm sure this is, and it's Europe, so this is actually probably pretty safe for human consumption.
Edible out of 10, yeah.
Oh, comments are turned off.
They knew.
That makes me sick.
They were waiting for us.
They got fruit and stuff as well you can take away from there. It's very convenient.
That's a lot of cops. Was it like national police or what? It's a lot of cops.
I think this is just for New South Wales.
Or should I say recruits? These aren't cops.
You're learning really quickly, and you have to pick it up quick.
Oh, the drip though. UMP 45 suppressed with an aim
Oh,
point.
Dan says it's to cover up the badge. It comes off once they grab. Okay. So it's like a hazing thing.
Issue
Cool.
them a hat without the badge, I guess.
OS is probably the biggest part of our job. It's just about
They just have
safety.
leftover ones from NYPD.
It's very convenient. You're learning really quickly, and you have to pick it up quick. OS is probably
Right here. This is the most compliant person I've ever seen. You're like, have zero control of this person right now, right?
the biggest part of our job.
And he goes hidden arm.
he just lays down.
One, he just lays down. But two, he goes hidden arm. There's a very easy technique for this. I'm going to make an instructional video on how to do hidden arm. What he's doing right now, both doesn't prevent this person from standing back up and punching him in the face. And two, does nothing to actually get his arm. But I give them an A+ for having a padded room that didn't think about not having a padded doorknob. That would totally just jack the hell out of your eye if you hit it. Like, anyways.
It's about officer safety, learning about all of our appointments that we get, and when we can use them, when we can't use them, how.
What was that? If your gun jams so bad that this is what's required, just run.
Is that like that thing from Wanted where they sort of curve the bullet?
Curve the bullet. Yeah, this is to shoot around hostage to get the suspect behind him.
I'm not gonna roast them because we totally got like red guns, like for our uniform. But when we did this type of training, we did it on real firearms. And they're recruits. It's not that big a deal. They're not learning how to shoot, but
and when we can use them,
that is wildly like. I can't show it here, but maybe in the after party I'll showcase how to like clear them. It's like Glock dog, chill. Like it's like 3 to 4. I think like a 6-pound spring is like probably from the factory, but like also like if the magazine's not removed, like you're just continuing to rechamber rounds that you're not shooting. That's weird.
How to use them properly. Definitely
Allegedly.
with using your gun.
Yeah.
Be conscious of where the muzzle of your, and then a separate bullet point. Firearm is pointed at all times.
It's kind of weird.
So firearm is pointed at all times is a separate instruction. Just
dude, that's
why they're all
they even welded the barrel,
the muzzle shut or the
so
barrel
they
shut.
can't even if you manage to load a real round into that guy. You know what? It's for safety. I have no beef with this. Look at all these little.
What are these? Oh yeah, okay. I see
They're like
practice
cap rounds. Yeah, plastic cap rounds. This is a pretty solid shooting position though. Like if you had to be like under a car, I have no beef with this. This is actually rather stable. Shout out to them.
Important thing to know when and when you can't use it.
I hate that so much. Bro, I see a guy do. I tell you what, though, I bet their marksmanship scores are pretty high because they probably take this very seriously. Not that American cops don't, but like,
No.
it's a
When
very
you
rare
can't use
privilege
it,
to
it's
get
not
to
something
use
that we wanna
firearms,
do.
like
Hopefully
professionally.
You don't ever have to use it, but if the day comes.
That's not horrible. That's at like what, 10 yards? That's not horrible.
And you're
It's
gonna
average.
Have to, so. Yeah, the
I'll
physical
hit 'em.
component is pretty good.
I tell you what, there's no Chungus recruits though. Shout out to them for that. It's probably because that food they have to eat. They can't get fat off of terrible food. Gotta give these Southern cops a break. These Southern deputies be getting nothing but good food.
Down here, they've got a
Oh,
gym
the
and
front
stuff
person's
on
wearing it
campus.
backwards.
So I like to go in the mornings every now and then, and sometimes in the afternoon. But
it's a nice treadmill.
Yeah, it's pretty tough if you don't train. You definitely got to train.
Oh, he made that.
2-3 times a week. Otherwise,
Bro.
you do find it a bit tough. Yeah, the teachers and all
Oh, it is just a ribbon to cover it up. That's wild.
the police staff here, they're so helpful. They help you.
What are you doing? Breaking his wrist? Dog, chill. Like, just slam the back of his elbow. He'll give it up.
That's
eventually.
my karate instructor teaching you how to disarm a guy with a knife.
Bro.
Absolutely everything. You could go to them at any time.
What?
She's telling them you need to put plates on this.
I was about to say.
Otherwise, you're not gonna have any.
They're there to help you. They want to know.
You're a grown-ass man.
They want to
Yeah, everybody here looks pretty. They
make
look
sure that
very
you know
young, though.
What to
Very
do and
young.
What's what and what you can do, what you can't do, and yeah, they.
I would fight these guys.
They definitely make the most amount of time.
Now,
for
chunky
us.
me, I would fight them.
Bro,
The
I
feeling
would
of
fight
handing
these
over the
guys.
student badge and getting the real badges is definitely something that I've been
Getting a real badge is a big honor. That's a big deal.
looking forward to. Pretty proud moment, especially getting it in front of everybody else.
Well, they give rid of their student one, and they get a.
That's cute.
They don't give you a student one in the States. They just let you be a loser the whole time. We had to earn every part of our uniform, so we would earn. Mind you, like basically put on the whole thing all at one time, but like we weren't even allowed. They didn't even give us badges until the like the day you actually swore the oath. Like you didn't even get one.
Yeah, really made me feel a part of.
I still have that badge.
The police family and stuff. I can't wait to get out there. Can't wait to wear it.
Constable.
If you're thinking about coming down here, I'd say do it. Don't even think twice. If you're thinking twice, don't think again. Just apply.
I look so
Honestly,
sleepy.
It's the best thing ever.
He should be. He's an
You're setting
academy.
yourself up for life.
Woke up at 5 a.m. to shave my shoes.
Like an idiot. That's a pretty decent recruiting video. I don't have beef with that. License to be corrupted. Oh my god.
Most UK officers are between 20 and 28. Okay.
Dang, that's really young.
Do they just retire at 28?
You were receiving infringement notice.
It might be like when they become recruits. Okay.
In the mail for failing to wear a seatbelt, okay?
Do your best.
Okay, do you...
I don't consent to any of this.
Yep, so what are your details, if that's right? Just your name and date of birth.
Your deeds?
What do I have to give that to you for?
Yep,
Am I under obligation to give you that
Yep,
license?
so you're provided to give me
By
your
law?
name and address.
By law?
Name and address, yes.
Can you cite that law for me, please?
Yep, so it's the Summary Offences Act, which is 458.
Act, some law.
So you grew this dude.
That's pretty
Let's
slick. I
go.
wouldn't have been able to just automatically cite it like that. Shout out to my boy. Plot twist, class wasn't until 8 a.m. You're just waking up those 3 hours just for fun. It gets a sin for the axe on camera, but I'll allow it.
No, you agree I'm a man?
I don't know, I'm not going to assume your gender, sir.
I think you can tell. A man, as in mankind.
I can't assume your gender.
That's kind of savage.
I can't assume your gender. I apologise.
You're right.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm an 80-year-old lady. Do you agree I'm a man?
I don't know what you identify
A
as.
living man. I'm alive. Am I
agree
alive?
that you're alive, yes.
Am I alive?
Yeah,
Okay.
I fully agree that you're alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So living man
You're
is in
present-
mankind.
You're present in body and mind.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
I fully
haven't
agree.
stipulated to me that law where I have to give you my license.
Yeah,
Show you my
so it's the
license.
Summary Offences Act. Your mobile phone is there. You're more than welcome to look up the Summary Offences Act. Go.
I did that multiple times. I sat there and I said, you know what? If you disagree with me, just Google it for me. I have time.
And you were pointing a gun at them the whole time, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
While their hands were out the window. Look up the Summary Offenses Act right now. Look it up, but don't move.
Infringement notice in the mail for failing to wear a seatbelt. Okay.
Do your best.
Oh, that was pretty weak sauce. I thought that was gonna go somewhere.
No,
1
minute short, bro.
What is this? You know, it's
I
interesting.
just thought it was cool that he knew the law right off the get.
That is pretty savage. So this chick has a modern pistol grip, which is not thumb over thumb, but like both thumbs on the same side. But you'll notice how close her thumb is, like her lead thumb is, to the. It's basically where the cylinder meets the barrel extension. There's a little bit of gas that comes out of that. It comes out of there very fast too. You can burn your finger doing that. It's not going to like send you to the hospital, but it feels uncomfortable. This guy's doing the actual revolver grip, which is thumb over thumb. Shout out to this guy.
That's the one I learned, so that I don't smack myself in the head.
Yep.
Same.
Also, on a double single, you can pull that hammer back with that thumb more readily. Oh, they're crushing it here. Korea. Oh, they have like a random blank there.
Frontline police officers will be armed with a new kind of less lethal handgun as part anti-criminal crackdown by the government.
This doesn't have any way of shooting. There's the blocked barrel.
In
Why are
the
they
wake of a
loading that?
series of high-profile stabbing rampages.
Yeah, look, it's just
so they can point it at the cameras without.
That's actually
bothering
okay.
Anybody.
Yeah, that you know what? Better safe than sorry.
This is the media team demonstration.
I'm here for it. I do like the pick rail up front. I'm kind of here for that.
I really like the look of this gun.
You'd have like a weapon mounted light up here, you know?
I kind of want one.
Crimes. The knife stabbing spree in Shilimdong so left one person dead and 3 others seriously injured. While a person suffering from schizophrenia rammed the car into a pedestrian sidewalk and then charged it into a nearby department store in Pundang and indiscriminately attacked people with his knife. This
Try that in South Dallas.
incident resulted in 2 deaths and 12 people harmed.
모든 현장 경찰에게 저위험 권총을 보급하고 101개 기동대에게 흉기 대응 장비를 신규 지급할 것입니다.
Providing such weapons aims to
It's kind of a rad looking revolver. Oh, this is a this is a 7-shot, I think. Oh no, it's 6. Never mind.
No, 6.
make it
Had to look
possible
for a
for
second.
police to better tackle
like a-
criminals and safeguard the lives and property of the general public.
Oh, I wonder if the first one's just a blank, and then as it rotates, the rest
Like
of
a
them
warning
are.
shot one.
That's
Or what? Seems sussy.
That's very sussy.
I thought it was just a Russian or the Russian roulette style. Where it's like, well, one of them's real.
Also, it's interesting. They also have the loading gate.
If you don't stop
opener.
after the first 5, you die.
Yeah.
At present, many officers are reluctant to use regular service pistols because they could lead to serious injury and even death, for which officers could be held
My
responsible.
brother dripped out with HKs. What are we doing with these revolvers? What?
This has to be their SWAT team.
That's my guess.
Like
The new pistols that will be issued will be much lighter compared to the current standard 38 caliber police revolvers. When used in conjunction with plastic rubber bullets, the new handgun's
Rubber
kinetic
bullets.
energy is just
It's
1/10
munitions,
that
basically,
of
right?
existing
Yeah.
handguns.
I'm actually gonna go to we're gonna get chat with rifles with sim rounds. Those suck. I'm going to a sim thing.
사실상 탄으로 직접 사격도 해봤는데 반동이 거의 없더라고요. 총기가.
With the lanyard.
목표 지점을 맞추기가
I love it.
now that's a retention holster right there.
In addition, the new weapons come
The meme has become real. It has a magazine. Is it like a? Why does
It's a
it?
vape.
It's probably like CO2 or something, maybe, right?
There's
Gas
no
chamber?
way.
Yeah.
Because what? I want to see what this is.
equipped with a data recorder that will accurately load when a
even
round was
better.
discharged. The location
So the sec. I hate that I even showed this on the internet. Some poor police department is gonna be like, some chief's like, oh, I like that idea.
of the gun when it was used, the angle of the shot, and how many rounds were fired in total.
총기 자체 내에서 안전장치가
You know what also gives you that data? Body cams. I'm sorry.
있어서 아주 좋은 부분인 것 같습니다.
The police have
You need a safety on a double action revolver? Dog, what? Bro,
Well, they're uncomfortable with using them.
I guess you're
used taser guns in dealing with violent criminals.
Yeah, that's not a taser gun, bro. That was a wax stick. Oh my god.
You did not even need to do that. Dude wasn't even looking at you.
Bro, Keith just got a little aroused there. Also, what's girlfriend gonna do from back here?
I think she's
about the taser.
Taser partner.
Because of their short range and because
taser. Then what the hell was the point of the stick?
But that was a good shot.
Distraction technique.
Because
I wonder if he
wasn't looking at you.
I wonder if
though.
he was
That's-
armed.
아주
Like,
좋은
they straight
부분인
up
것 같습니다.
snuck up on
the
him.
police have
I bet you this is a weapon.
Oh, maybe the stick is to make him drop it.
This is a
used
weapon.
taser
Yeah.
guns in
So someone's in front of them, distracting him while they approach.
dealing with violent criminals.
Yeah.
But because
Oh, dude, like.
Made him drop
Okay,
it.
you know what?
Okay.
This was a good. This was
Take
a
it
good. This was a good deployment here.
of their short range.
Dude, what an. Also, it's a shirtless person, so let's not give her too much credit. However, she drilled him. I mean, shout out to her.
And because only one round can be fired, its limitations were apparent. The government also plans to prioritize police duties with a greater focus on
got, like, no
public
recoil.
safety. Accordingly, the government has adjusted the 2024 national budget to reflect the changes with President Yoon approving such a move in a recent cabinet meeting.
Shoe with both eyes open, you scrub. I'd fight Korean police. Mostly because I have like skinny me still probably has like 100 pounds on most of them.
Like 2 feet.
German federal police recruiting. I'm skipping a bunch of these. Oh, Australian federal police. Let's go. It's time to roast.
Are you ready for it?
Dan?
Chris said, see, the pistol lanyard is a direct result of the radio mic. That's another thing we roasted in the SWAT episode. Because they actually had hand mics for LAPD, which is crazy.
What's funny to me about that comment is it's like the hill he'll die on is I want to do my whole job one-handed and I want to hold on to the past. Because that was the last time Chris was relevant, was the past. Get out of here.
We've got bad blood.
Wait a minute. It took a black light
Are you ready for
to
it?
see that there was
Chris,
blood.
I gotta mail you one
there?
of these, by the way.
Yeah, we do have to mail him one. At least we're not yet roasting UK.
Send
Don't
me a
you
mailing
worry.
address.
I'll come after the UK.
We've got bad blood.
We've got bad blood. Oh, she said bad blood.
I've got a blank space. And I'll write you.
Oh my god.
Is that Tay-Tay? I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
I've got a list of names and yours is in red.
Are they quoting songs?
Yes, we're there in their crime fighting. This must be an Eras tour
Underlined.
themed.
Shake it off.
We never go.
Is this a Taylor Swift? Oh gosh. Also,
I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
I've got a list of names and yours is in red. Underlined.
what was she supposed to be punching there? It was like
his nutsack.
Like, is this granny titties or what is she punching here?
We never go out of style.
Kangaroo nutsack.
Oh yeah, you
You
know what?
said a kangaroo. Yeah, sure.
You could have said leave Taylor alone.
Wow.
Are we out of the woods yet?
I heard it as leave Taylor alone. That's how I read that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, we're on the clear.
Why can't you see? You belong with the AFP.
This is how they recruited Dan.
Dan, be
Big
proud.
Swiftie.
Where you at? You talking all that shit. Man, that was... I made MSP sound appealing. Let's see. Bruce sent me a lot.
Yeah, I pulled basically the most embarrassing ones I could find from Australia. Except for this one. I think this one's kind of cool.
Cringe to the power of 100. Those are your people, dog. Perth. Path.
This is Outback.
This man is not wearing a vest.
Mm-mm. He's from Keith's generation. He said he's not a Fed.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
That's what feds say.
They pretend to be something else.
Remote cop. That's a pretty sweet ride, though.
Cobra is a highway station. We cover from the NTSA border all the way up to Stewart's Well, which is about 200 k's worth of Stewart Highway. Plus, we cover about 150.
This is what passes for a highway in Australia.
To 180 k's along.
The dirt's a little flat, you see. It's a highway. They have a roo on their badge. Oh my! Okay, I take everything I said back. That's pretty metal. This is incredible. I want one of these patches. This is pretty legit.
Well, that's the highway, which is the road that leads out to Ayers Rock. So apart from traffic duties, we also take care of 2 Indigenous communities.
Luke Gailey has been the local cop in Colgra for the past year. Born in Sydney, it's about as far out of his comfort zone as he could get.
I wonder how much of that is like actually society.
South Australia border. So that's where Dan is, South Australia.
So I realize this is like distance to those locations, but it probably also counts for like population at all those places.
Family-wise, we just had our son and that sort of stuff. So
That's the Colgarib police station.
we knew if we wanted to do this, it'd have to have
in the middle of nowhere. Good lord. Keith, is this what it's like being a deputy?
A little bit.
No way. That's kind of rad.
Also,
leisurely
I've done
cruises.
some relief work and quite really enjoyed it.
Found a
So
academy video here.
For somewhere that would suit us for a couple of years before our son went to school.
Go, 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 go.
What are
When we lived in
palms?
Tennant Creek, Luke did a
Dan,
little bit
explain
of
what
relief
palms are.
work out at remote stations for a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
I'm gonna lift you.
That's the most adorable thing ever. This kid's pretty adorable. In Australia, there's 2 wars. They were pretty useless in that second one.
And that was really nice.
Oh, I like the little
different
police car
places.
thing.
We moved
Pretty
back
dope.
to Darwin, and again, Luke did a few different remote
Feed this boy some
stints
food.
at places across the top end, and we thought, well, if you're going to do all this remote relief and you're
Oh,
away
he's not
all
English.
this time, why don't we just go
That's what
remote
palms are.
together and
Not
see
English.
what it's like to live
Josh,
proper
we're not
remote.
tea bags.
Luke joined the Northern Territory Police Force after a stint in the military and tour of Afghanistan.
Today we're off to
He
Fink,
might be a bad dude.
to do a general community patrol and just do some general follow-ups of things that have occurred over the last week or so.
I like that truck.
He's found the most rewarding aspect of the job is by far the day-to-day interaction, where you
Oh, it's a
become
Toyota,
more than
that's
an
fine.
officer, but a part-time counsellor, teacher, and even footy coach.
He's got the Al Qaeda special.
It took me a half second to realize what a footy coach was. I was
Oh, yeah.
genuinely concerned, and then I let it go.
As you would call it, soccer.
Soccer coach.
We have a good relationship with
See all the dance emojis.
they generally enjoy our company. It's
What's
good
going on,
to,
Sarah?
At the accents.
be involved with them in
Them.
this atmosphere as well as
That's how you know it's hot. They have a cover for the dash so it doesn't warp. That's how you know it's hot out there.
I'd get one for the steering wheel too, dude.
Yeah.
to engage with
Apple
them.
Watch.
He does get the sin for the Apple Watch.
Also, I think his pen is one of those that are like multiple colors.
I saw
See it
that.
on his little,
And
like,
the ADHD kid in me is down for that pen though. Pretty jealous of the pen.
he's gonna click, 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 click.
So much just being there to lock them up, but being able to get the
AFL.
footy with the kids every now and again.
What's AFL?
Oh, that's their version of NFL type, but it's all the weird rules.
So it's like the NFL, but it doesn't.
How Canada has weird rules.
So it doesn't make any money, and people watch it just to get drunk.
It looks more like rugby. They don't wear any padding. They just break each other's faces.
Oh, is
But
this
they
is
still
this
have
rugby?
They still have the egg.
Is footy rugby?
No, it is not rugby. It just looks almost exactly like rugby.
If he wants to sell me on rugby, I'll listen. But soccer?
It's not soccer. They use the egg ball as opposed to round ball.
Yeah, I got you.
So I think it's like a
It's a good
halfway point between like rugby and American football.
Doug, Foreigner's got a weird looking version of Eminem. I don't know if you guys.
Educate us, Dan.
Yeah.
He says we don't use padding. Yeah, no, I noticed that. CTE's got to be
For,
wild
for,
on these guys.
For soccer?
What? No, this is not soccer. For AFL.
That's the adult footy league?
Australian Football League.
So it's rugby essentially.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
But
I'm fine with
without
that.
padding.
I used to play.
Yeah.
I used to play football without padding periodically.
Mhm.
It's injury prone, but a blast.
Yeah, they do. They seem to do more kicking than American football, but other than that, it's pretty similar.
I respect it.
They hold the ball and push each other.
I'll respect that. I'll respect the AFL.
I respect the no padding. That's
kind of what I'm saying.
It's hard as fuck.
Yeah. Hello, friend in the
Hi, Lorraine, how
shed
are you?
here. He knew this lady's name.
How's an up try going, right?
Well, there's only 3 people out there.
Yeah. How are the kids going?
All good.
Yeah.
How many kids at night?
Sorted that,
That
problem out from
lizard
the other
shirt.
day?
Yep.
Yeah, oh, cool.
While most of the time things are pretty calm and sleepy around here, there's a few days
Calm.
of the year that all changes.
Population explodes from anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 people. Between spectators, competitors,
The population explodes to about as much as a 4A high school. What? I mean, they don't have the infrastructure for it, so that's a lot of people. I mean, I'd be like trying to, like 3,000 people is a lot to invite to a house party, right? I don't care how big your house is, but that's wild.
The community also runs their sports carnival that weekend.
I've worked weddings about
See
that
a lot
size.
of Indigenous
Yeah,
people
that can
from
happen.
other communities travelling to the sports carnival. It's quite amazing to see the transformation over about a 4 or 5 day period. It's incredible.
Bro, 3,000 people, like the Cowboys would just not play if only 3,000 people showed up. We have like more than 3,000 people tailgating in one parking lot. That's wild. Bro.
There's also tourist season, and the main highway connecting the Territory to the rest of the country.
Territory.
And the famous, iconic Uluru.
Afternoon. How are you? All right? Yeah, good, thank you.
I just gotta get some money out of you. I ain't got nothing else for GDP outside of debt.
So just an RBT today. Anything alcoholic to drink at all? No. No? No worries. What I need from you is a sample of your breath by providing...
Straight up, skip the investigation part of it. You just straight to breath. You ain't got slurred speech. How do you feel about that? Keith, did you ever do DWI checkpoints, Keith? I never did.
I did.
I know they were done, but I never did them.
County was a little different.
I feel weird about it constantly. Like, I'm okay with the questions, but like him going straight to a breathalyzer, no questions asked, like that's kind of wild.
One long steed blow through the tube, and I'll let you know when to stop, okay? When you're ready. Stop. Have you got your license on you today?
Yeah. It gets very busy, so I guess the best way to explain that would be...
God, that was the most action they could get. They say it gets busy. It's one car driving down the road.
Do RBTs all year round, and off-peak season we can set an RBT for hours and get 50 people.
50 people,
as opposed
wow.
to during the tourist season, we can do an RBT for an hour and we'll have 200-300 people tested. So it's I don't have the exact numbers, but yeah, it's quite large.
Lots of traffic, long driving distances, and inexperienced drivers can make this job merciless. They've seen their share of
No dicking around.
Within remote work, you're expected to do a lot more. So as police, well, obviously we're first responders across the board, and we'll respond to similar jobs, whether it's Palmerston, Darwin, Alice, or out here. The difference lies in the support you then get post.
I'm stealing that sedan.
Sometimes for crashes, for example, there can be a delay in support, where you've then got to step up and fill the gaps.
It's also a huge pastoral region, sprawling cattle stations, the main industry down this way.
Yeah, I think there's 24 cattle
Pork
stations.
chops.
Where
It all sounds the same to me, mate. But like, that's wild.
Deal with them in a varying degree. Some we hardly.
I mean, it looks like he's a cop on Mars. Like, you know,
really
like
does.
it's
Does
kind
not
of
look like the same planet.
Kind of bonkers.
The sky was
and others
red.
we'll hear from quite a bit. So.
What could some of the issues be?
There's
Sharpie
generally not
on
issues
hand.
coming from them. Their general contact will be MVR related and those sorts of things, firearms and licensing for their staff and that sort of stuff. Some of the issues that have arisen in the past is disputes over cattle and things like that get sorted generally in-house.
It's a life foreign to many, but Louise has used her unique situation to tell the rest of the world about remote policing through a Facebook page.
Well, I thought it would be an interesting way to share with other people what it's like to live remote and share also what it's like to be a police wife as well. And I thought it'd be interesting when you have those odd stories or funny days to get it out there and let people know that things can happen and change so quickly, and just sort of shed a light on what it's like to be a remote family.
I can't even wrap my head around that. I don't know if for more than an evening or two I've ever been that far away from people.
Okay. A Commodore.
Their time in the outback, however, is coming to a close.
No, I think we'll definitely miss the piece of...
That's so wild.
No.
Oh no. That's kind of I have no expertise to have a strong opinion on that outside of my policing experience was very different.
Something about the world's longest police chase. I guess New Zealand has it?
No way.
I can't find the thing, but yeah. Mr. Porkchop said he's in New Zealand. He's a Kiwi.
Based. He's a Kiwi. Okay, it's the last one I'll do, and then we'll do some after party action.
Okay, which one are you doing?
This is Portland Police Central Bike Squad filmed
okay.
on
I thought you were
location.
going to do the SA Police Academy.
Well, I'll pull that
So-
one up. This one's short.
It's Dan's actual peeps. Did they pit the bike?
I guess. I gotta mute this.
Yeah.
What? Or just Terry stopping everybody? Oh, iced out. Oh no, a revolver.
A revolver.
Why do they have a
Secured it.
wasp? Why do they have a mascot?
That's funny.
You said which one was it?
It's a murder hornet.
You said it's a murder hornet. You said it's called what?
It's the very last one I sent.
Oh, okay, move it out. to that one. He said a murder hornet. You think we're good at this music?
Yeah.
Okay.
This sounds royalty free. God, this editing. I want to give everybody a seizure.
They're doing fitness, they're doing car repair, report writing.
The 1990s computers.
Yeah. Everybody looks in pretty decent shape. I'm okay with this. God,
the helmets.
Those were goofy.
Is that for driving?
I guess. We didn't wear helmets when we did pursuit drive. You're not gonna wear one on patrol.
Yeah.
Um. 3 out of 10, I would fight all those cops. Anyways, if you guys would like to hang out with us in the after party, you can. We will be doing our after party in our Discord. Our Discord is accessible through either our YouTube membership or our Patreon group. It's as little as $1 a month on both sides, and it gives you direct access to said Discord. I'm assuming we're playing some games today, but either with a chase was more than the length of the country. Oh, that's kind of wild.
Half the length of the country, but yeah.
That's wild.
That's still a very long chase.
I think the longest pursuit I was in was only like 12 minutes or something like that. I was going 140 like the whole time, but it was like a city and a half, basically. It was not very far.
So it's 990 miles long, 100 kilometers. So
no kidding.
Roughly 500 miles.
That's wild. That's very far, bro. That's it took more than one patrol car. Like, ain't no way somebody had that much gas in their patrol car. Especially if you're getting after it. Anyways,
maybe they refueled like airplanes do.
That would be rad.
Just siphon it.
Wouldn't be hard.
As you go.
Just get like a little, just get up next to them and. Anyways, I want to thank all of you guys for hanging out with us. I'm glad we got to have our stream despite OBS and YouTube trying to stop us from doing it. I want to thank everybody that stopped by, and hopefully we will get this SWAT episode out to you guys soon if the copyright gods decide to feel appeased. Started at the gas station. But anyways, for everybody else, we will see you guys in the after party. Jason, you have fun. And then I guess we got to pick a game for us to play. But I got to take a restroom break because I've been online for a hot minute. I love you all and have a wonderful rest of your evening. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Bye-bye. And